You can see where I have.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Just press the button.
Is. Oh, hello, everybody. We're online, huh? We're live.
We're live. It's alive. It's alive.
Well, I thought I had something in there for you, Nick. But I guess
I just start typing. Will it show up for you?
Yeah, it should. Just put it right after Liz's. Is it not working?
I'm typing. Are you not seeing anything?
Well, it probably takes a while for it to sync. So just do whatever you're doing, and then we'll see what happens. See if everything syncs.
Okay.
And we want nobody else touch the intro note so that it doesn't create a copy. If that makes sense. Okay.
Yep.
Up from his home studio in Air Capital. That's all I see so far.
Oh, that's all I typed.
I need to go to... What do I hear?
My dog, probably.
No, it's something coming from these earbuds. Whatever's going on my iPhone. I need to select StreamYard and hit the live recording thing. Join. Okay. Yes. Okay. Hopefully this is the way I'm going to monitor what's happening in the StreamYard.
There's
in my
Micah, so he can
peripheral
look.
vision.
He can critique any audio that's happening.
Okay.
Micah.
Our sound man, main man Micah.
Who's about to be buried in snow?
Radio Rod, yeah.
You're
Big
listening to
nor'easter.
the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG.
How's that sound?
Oh, Stephen Ivy.
Thumbs up.
Oh, my goodness.
Steven, he's in Chicago O'Hare in a hotel room.
Lovely.
Not really. Okay, what was I doing? I'm getting distracted. Micah's volume is too low.
It's too low. He's already buried
always
under
count.
the snow.
We can always count on iHall boxes for some.
He's the king of the
some funny
quips.
stuff.
I
Yeah,
like it.
the witty
Micah.
quips.
He'll be
You
watching
cargo
the show.
guys,
That's Nurse
you freight
Yeah.
guys are so witty.
Freight guys, they're the worst.
Yeah, it's you got to pass a test of wits to actually be checked out when you become a freight pilot.
You
Gotta
can't
have
be a
your wits about
half-wit.
you.
Yeah.
What's this? Background music. Oh, they've added something new. Ooh, let's see what that...
With the StreamYard? Ooh, that's all very sort of mystic and otherworldly.
That's acoustic cinematic. Oh, what's this feeding the ducks?
I don't know. There's a lot of quacking involved.
I don't hear any ducks.
Nope.
Okay. Okay. I'm being distracted again. Okay, let's get back up to what you were doing, Jeffrey. Add overlay.
Picture of
is it
Jeff
okay if
right
I-
now.
Huh?
There's a picture
yeah.
of Jeff.
Huh? Squirrel. What? I'm adding the coffee fund to...
And the cover art, yeah.
The cover art should already be in the slides.
Okay, I wasn't looking, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want me to move the coffee fund slide overlay up
No.
above
Nope.
all the
Nope.
other stuff in there?
No,
Okay.
I can find it. Thanks.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I see the cover art. I got it. It's
Okay.
in the slides.
Alrighty. And what else? Okay, I think I've done that. And I've done that. Ooh, I think we might be ready to go. Here, let me see if I got all
Wowzer.
the... from his home studio in the air capital. Low and slow pilot. You talking about your brain or
Both. Myself and the
airplane
airplanes.
mechanic enthusiast and engineer in the aerospace and defense industry? Nick C.
Love it.
You want me to say Nick C or Nick Camacho?
Either one's fine. I don't care.
Whatever you prefer.
I prefer them equally. So whatever you want to do.
I
Thank
like
you for making it
Camacho.
easy on me.
Yeah.
Camacho. Or Camachco.
Camacho. Yeah.
I got to be careful because I'll
I
probably
know.
accidentally say
You'll
that.
rewire your brain into using that.
Oh,
You know, when I first moved to my first year in California, when I went out there for school, I had to test out of something. I took like an AP class in high school, and I had to test out of taking a college course using that credit, and it was a course on California history or California politics or something like that. Something that I wasn't aware of because I hadn't lived out there. And man,
Yeah.
it was back when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor, and I had just like had it so ingrained in my mind, everyone calling him the governor, that I'm writing this handwriting this paper, and I could not figure out how to spell governor because I kept thinking
Governator.
yeah. Embarrassing
Nick, you
moment.
know that all the other states, they're just governors.
I know.
The governor.
I just
I'm
kept
terrible
thinking
with
Arnold
accents.
Schwarzenegger. What's he? He's the governor.
Let's see. How are our volumes, dear sound technicians in the chat room, compared to each other? You know, up or down? You know, let us know if somebody's too quiet or somebody's too loud. Yeah, it looks like Steph is getting close to joining us.
I am a bit low
Oh.
compared to Liz and Jeff, it looks like.
And am I? How's my volume?
Nick's is low compared to Liz.
Haven't
and
heard Rick
Jeff.
yet. How about now, my main man, Micah?
Liz, are you muted?
No.
Okay, mute yourself for a second. Thank you. That just helps with the sound because there's a lot of background floor. You sound beautiful, Jeff. Carlos.
Mute yourself,
you do
Liz.
too.
It helps with my process. I think
Rick
that's
is
what I heard him
good.
say.
Strength 5.
Okay.
Thanks, gents.
Very high, Rick. Well, I don't know.
Well,
Are
I'll
you
just-
high, Rick?
Well, I'll lower my chair here.
I am sitting on the chair they have in this room is so low. It's like I'm sitting at the kids' table, you know, for dinner.
Low right?
Yeah. So I had to get several cushions and pillows that I'm sitting on. I couldn't find any telephone books. You older people will understand what I mean about that. I don't know. I used to have to sit on telephone books when I went to Grandma and Grandpa's for dinner.
Yes, sadly, I do understand that.
I know you would, Liz.
I remember those.
Oh, why is it? Okay, say something in clean feed, Liz, just to make sure that that's going to be coming through, if you don't mind.
Saying something in clean feed.
Okay, getting your signal in clean feed. Thank you. And
That also
let me
came
do.
through StreamYard. Did you anticipate
She
that?
probably still has her microphone selected for. Was she still in the StreamYard?
No, I had my microphone muted.
Oh, okay. That means I have something set up incorrectly. Aha. Yes.
You want me to try it again?
Thank you for mentioning that, Nick, because I did not know that I had it set up improperly. Yes, try clean feed one more time. Okay, I hear Liz in clean feed. The rest of you on the video should not have heard that.
We did not. I did not.
Okay, good. Whoa, oh, that's kind of rude, Liz. Good thing they can't hear you.
Yeah, that was a good one, Jeff.
She didn't say anything. You know her. She's most of the time pretty nice.
Not so much, but
Yeah, so Steph is having trouble getting into her driveway. That's a good one, Nick C.
yeah, I think that she needs that right now. Possibly a beer immediately on arrival.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Several,
she needs
hopefully.
she needs a
Get that
heliboard
backup
up of her
shimmy
house.
damper
That's what she needs.
material.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me make sure.
The
that
amusing
I'm
part of that
recording.
to me is that she's probably the only person I know that has like 2 driveways into her house, or 2 opposite approaches into her house, and the fact that she can't get into either of them is
Yeah,
a
that
little
kind of
ironic.
sucks, huh?
And probably extra frustrating, right?
Yeah.
It's good to be here to see you guys. I had a flight from Tampa to Los Angeles, where I live, a couple of days ago, and I was
Okay.
That's good.
Just had to make sure that that was coming through in Reaper. And it is. Oh, I'm hearing dings.
Yeah. Another Steph missive.
Ah. Okay. All right. Now. Hello, Headingite, and everybody else in the chat room. Carlos. By the way, and you probably know this, Carlos. When you guys see APG show in your chat room, and it doesn't specify like Liz's specification, it's me. And then if it's Liz or anybody else, they'll put brackets around their name just to indicate it's them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, we don't want to get blamed for Jeff's comments.
On the other hand, see, they can spoof me if they don't put their name in there. Everybody assumes that it's me making that comment, and that's maybe not a good thing.
We'd never do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is that your, what are they doing, vacuuming or something, Liz?
Yes, they're cleaning up after themselves. Sorry, I'll put the mute on.
Okay.
I
No,
think
that's
they-
fine.
I think
No.
they're getting ready to leave, which is the good news.
I just need to unplug my refrigerator and turn off my AC, so I'll be right back.
Just
All right,
so
I gotta go to the
everybody
little boy's room for a second. Get rid of this beer. I'll be right
Yep.
back.
do it. Yeah, just everybody in the chat room, just so you know, I'm in a little different location here, and because my bathroom is being renovated and they're very noisy. So I tried to hide away from them, but Jeff with his ultra sensitive audio equipment can still hear them. So making good progress, I have to say. I'm pretty impressed. Of course you want a beer, Stephen, because you probably can't have
sure.
one right now.
Need to get a beer.
I actually drank a beer this afternoon, which is very unlike me. I'm not a beer drinker, but I just decided to have one.
Yeah.
It was good. It was some stuff I bought. Well, Jeff was supposed to be coming up here for a visit a while ago. We never made it.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd try one of those. Mike Kuipers, not badly. About this time of day, she's ready for them to leave because we've been sort of holed up in a little room and stuff. So, but she's hanging in there. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Liz,
Yes, sir.
in honor of our fallen co-host,
Yes, sir.
Temporarily fallen. Guess what I'm drinking?
I'd say something to do with
Something.
a cat. Oh,
I was thinking
I
Brown
guess-
in England, maybe.
I thought so, yeah. Mhm. Meow, meow.
The Velvet Pussycat.
That's right. The velvet kitty cat.
Pussycat. Minus the cat.
Did you bring that bottle of port with you from in your
No, I got it
luggage?
from
Oh,
the
you
liquor
bought it
place.
here. It's local.
Yeah. It's not the best. No, well, it's not local. I mean, the
No,
liquor store.
no,
is.
I know.
This is actually
Purchased.
from Portugal.
Yeah.
But it's not like the highest caliber.
Yes.
But it doesn't
It's
matter
not-
because I'm
it's not
pouring it
top
into
shelf.
a Guinness.
I was gonna say,
not
does it
top
matter?
shelf.
Can you tell when you mix it with beer?
No, you cannot tell.
But you're really liking this combo, right?
I am. It's really, really good for you. Not good for you.
So how
It's,
much port do you put in it? Or does it change as you drink more and more?
Depends on how much you have in the bottle.
Will one bottle be enough for the show?
Yeah, I got to be careful.
Is it like a 1-to-1 or is it like a splash? of
Oh
port
no,
with a can of
no!
beer?
It's like a glass of port that you pour in. I guess I don't know. I don't know really
Yeah,
what the
If
actual.
it was 1-to-1, we'd be doing the show in Portuguese.
or
Jeff,
sound
Mike
like
Harrington's asking a question here. Why can't
does he
he
say?
get the show on YouTube live on his TV?
I don't understand the question. Do you mean
If he's
YouTube
searching-
has a live? They have YouTube Live TV, like YouTube TV. You mean YouTube TV or on YouTube Live? You can't get it to show up on your TV.
Is it the link? The problem with the link?
Yeah, if you probably have to do it on another device, and then in that device hit the thing that says what is it called?
Share.
Past or
Share
something.
to or
Yeah.
cast.
Another way I've gotten around that on my TV is I'll start watching it on my phone, and then it shows up in the history for my account.
Oh.
So then I can find it on my TV because you can't. When you guys publish the Facebook link or the link in Facebook and Twitter, I can't
Yeah.
search that on my TV.
No.
So that's kind of how I get around. that.
Oh, I don't know why that is.
So if you had this link that I'm posting now, the real link, could you find it that way?
I don't
No,
think so because the TV's not browser based.
Oh, right. Okay. Got it.
I don't think. I'm not sure. I don't have YouTube Live, but I just have internet connected TV with my YouTube account attached, and so that's how it kind
Right,
of talks
yeah.
back and forth. In the
Got it.
history.
Understand. Hey, Jeff,
Yeah, I've
Tim
never-
Van
you
Ram's
know
in
what?
his RV.
Oh, cool! Yay! He's in Tamale Bay.
Tamales. I don't know.
Tamales.
Oh, and there's the other Van Ram. Hi, Mark Van Ram.
Oh, the Van Ram brothers. Tamales Bay. So how are the tamales over there in the bay?
Hot.
Marin, that's kind of near where you live, isn't it, Tim? You just doing some backyard camping?
Maybe he got kicked out of the house.
Oh, sorry. I understand, though. Hey, that's not so bad.
Just friends.
Are we going to start without Steffi? Given her current
sounds
situation?
like- Well, okay. Looks like her lawn care guys just left. Why don't we wait a little bit longer if that's okay?
Okay, sure. No, I'm
And that'll
fine.
allow me to make sure I have everything set up correctly. I
Okay, I'm going to
guarantee
go
you
and
I
see if
don't.
these guys have left. Hang on.
Okay. Okay, and let's. We should probably mute her. Boom.
There we are. Quiet.
Yeah.
Quiet is nice,
Go
isn't
to
it?
the APG homepage on your
Yeah, it
phone, click the YouTube link,
It
and
is
stream
very
it to
much.
Roku or Chromecast.
So, how did that operation go?
Hi, Steph.
Hi. Well, successful. It was just a waiting game mostly. Yeah. And
Oh, you're a surgeon now? An operation,
yes,
huh?
yes.
Wow. We're happy that hopefully you're.
Well, I wasn't gonna have a beer, but I got a beer out of the fridge on the way up the stairs.
Nice.
But here we are.
Okay, good. You're among friends here, Steph.
I'll finish my kombucha first, though. This is the one with like extra caffeine in it, which is probably not what I need right now. But
Nick's level may be low compared to the rest, and okay. So
Do I need to like scoot my microphone closer?
Maybe, or in Cam/Mic and StreamYard under audio, you can just check your settings there. You should have echo cancellation off, stereo audio off, and then uncheck automatically adjust mic volume, and then
Okay.
move it up a
And
little
then
bit.
Turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll see if
about
that
like,
works.
Hello
Right
from
there, maybe?
Snowy CVG. Well, I'm not there.
yeah,
Hey, Paul. Got to do barbecue again soon when it stops snowing, though.
All right, Micah, how does that sound? Does that sound a little bit better?
Sounds like a little bit better to me.
I can go. I got more headroom here. To go
Hi,
up if you want to
Steffi.
keep going up.
hi, Liz. Sorry,
Wow.
I didn't mean for that to sound like. Bleh.
Oh boy.
It's okay. I'm gonna be fine. Give you like.
You're here.
Jeff, I'm having a second beer.
Oh wow.
Ooh, wow.
I wasn't gonna have any
Liz.
Liz, but yet
Look at you,
man.
Liz.
I'm on board as well.
I know.
So maybe I should pipe in Liz's clean feed into
Oh,
the
I think you
live.
should. Yes.
No.
Would anyone like to hear about modic changes are associated with activation of intense inflammatory and host defense response pathways? My most recent
For sure.
spine journal,
Sounds riveting.
doesn't
Let's
it?
have a
drink
few more beers
and read
And
this
then
article.
start reading that.
That's a plantain
Yeah.
right there.
Am I depressed? Even no, I'm not depressed.
All right, I turned it up a bit more, Micah.
Okay.
Nixie is just
Sounds
kind
good
of a
to me.
laid back kind of guy.
No, I did not mean for my greeting to Liz to come out that flat. I just.
I understand.
I'm not sure how to channel my emotions
I
appropriately.
did not take it personally. I know what's going on.
You know, what's funny with Rick is that a lot of times when you're talking, you'll kind of turn to the side or maybe look somewhere else, and that adjusts your volume. So you're like all over the place with volume
Me?
when I'm doing the editing. I have a thing that kind of levels that out a little bit, but it's not perfect.
Podcast magicer.
He's used to looking over at his first officer for guidance.
You know what I need to get then? I need to get one of those. I'll get a
Headsets
funnel.
with a mic on it.
No.
With a
I'll
what?
get a funnel, a big
A
funnel.
funnel. No.
Tied around my head.
No, you need to get something like a high back chair and then like strap your head to the back of it so you can't move your head.
Like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, I was just going to comment that you don't look particularly comfortable the way you're sitting there, Rick.
Oh,
Maybe
me?
you
Yeah,
are.
we got to work
but-
on your
Yeah.
ergonomics.
I'm very comfy.
As a
Okay.
physical medicine and rehabilitation specialist, I'm concerned about your
All right.
spine.
Oh shoot, you're checking everybody's posture.
Mine's not very good.
I
either.
need to adjust mine.
I need to actually raise my monitor. I think, or maybe just.
No, actually, no. I like.
I need to adjust where my mic. Well, I need to adjust a lot of things with this. It's.
Well, it doesn't matter if we see your mic or not.
I know.
really
I
doesn't. I
don't
don't
mean
care.
see it. I mean it's it sags a little.
Oh, yeah.
It
Is there
needs
a-
Mike Viagra.
Yeah, it does
Yeah,
at the moment.
with
So I
age,
need to
hear.
make some adjustments to the actual stand, which I've been meaning to do for a long time, and several weeks now at least, and it's been on the low priority list. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're low priority to you, Steph. We understand.
I do
You
have
know
to
where
do
we
a,
stand.
I do have to do a podcast with one of my coworkers next week, so I guess I should fix it before then, huh?
Oh.
Although I
Oh,
don't
sure.
even know if he wants me to.
That would be important, not us.
That figures.
He's like, I'll just call you. I record it from the phone. I was like, don't do that. But I don't know if he has any other way to. I don't know what his setup is. So if anyone wants to hear me discuss radio frequency ablation, Micah, Micah's probably
that
the only person
sounds
who's interested in
like
that.
fun.
Mike Agra, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Mike Agra.
how we doing,
Okay.
everybody?
So much better now.
Okay, let me get the windows ready. Not windows.
No,
Like
no,
Windows.
I understand. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Everybody got their recorders on or ready?
Yeah, I've been
Mine is now
recording for a
ready
while.
after having recorded for 12 days straight. The last.
Oh no, you're kidding.
All right.
Wow.
Not kidding.
Oh,
12 days, 4 hours. Not sure how many minutes. Something in the teens. You know.
where is Evernote? Here it is. Okay, and intro. I'll try to stumble through this somehow. Everybody enjoying the keystrokes?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was like, wow, that is fast and
We got
furious typing
Fred
there.
Astaire joining us today at
That's
the,
angry typing.
the podcast.
What did you say, Rick?
We got Fred Astaire. You know Fred Astaire, the famous tap dancer?
Yes, we do.
I love
A
that
little
guy,
one.
actually. Yeah.
Doing his thing on the keyboard. Okay. I think we're ready to go here. I have that right there, and I just have to find the soundboard again and pop it down here. And
I'll definitely be
What?
sure to make sure that I mention cooking hot dogs with radio frequency ablation. That's Micah's suggestion.
oh,
Pretty sure that can be done.
can you? Probably not evenly.
Maybe.
Will it interfere with airplanes landing stuff? That's all we
Ooh,
care about.
that is a good question. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
if we set up a radio frequency generator like right next to the radio altimeter in the airplane,
As you do.
maybe. Yeah.
Who wouldn't
No.
want to be treated right there? It'd be a nice distraction.
Right. Be
For
tricky for the
Abdi,
practitioner. There's a little bit of light turbulence on approach here today.
Yeah. No, it's really funny. Like seriously, this whole deal with 5G's happened while I've been away, on vacation. So I haven't flown since late December. So I've got a
Yeah, we've
mountain of
noticed.
stuff to read
that makes two of us.
before I go back to work. So,
Well, you know what?
Look
The
at-
good news is by the time you go back to flying again, all this is going to be like, yeah, whatever. It's okay.
Here we go. Yeah, okay.
Neil Lanhorn has a
been
great comment here.
What do you say? Gave up tap dancing. I kept falling into the sink. Oh, tap. Ba-doom, bam. Yeah, rim shot. Let's see how long it takes me to find rim shot. Not too long.
Wow.
Wow. I just happened to have it mapped to my R. Yeah, so it worked. Just like when I want to do go around.
Yes.
They're both G's. One's a G and one's a capital G or
But
uppercase.
then you have to remember which one is which, and that's not
Yep.
problematic
I
at
never
all.
do remember, but let's see. Okay, that's.
Is this
upper G and
507 that we're on today?
It is.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
My Evernote has not updated, or the intro is
Uh-oh.
not updated. I'm going to quit it. And go back to it.
That is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. Were you looking at the intro page that says "Airline Pilot Guy" episode
Yes.
506?
Does that just mean you
Yeah,
haven't
well, that's
updated
because
it?
I haven't updated that.
Fair enough. I
Because
thought
Roger
that was
does
the
all that.
other logical explanation,
Yeah,
but I figured
that's
you
the
were
most logical.
more prepared than I was for today. So
Steph's audio's a
Stuff's-
little.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to
she's
say,
getting
was
a
that
little
just me
robot-y.
or is that Steph's?
Skypey. Yeah.
got
I like that.
row body?
Yeah, Skypey.
Oh,
Has your dad cut your links there?
probably.
Stolen your bandwidth.
Is it still robot-like?
Oh, you know what it
You're
is?
fine now.
No, it's better.
When you did the Evernote thing, I think probably.
Oh, I opened that up. Yeah, and it.
Yeah. Sometimes it downloads stuff and syncs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did ask it to
Are you-
sync, so that's what was going on.
Okay. That is a logical explanation. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start this thing. What do y'all think?
Ready?
Okay. Take it away, Roger. Lights. Oh, come on, Liz. You did it
I'm
with me
coming.
last time. Lights.
Camera.
Action.
Action.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 570.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from a hotel studio in Rapid City, South Dakota. Today's show is recorded on the 28th of January, 2022.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, a Gulfstream is destroyed in an emergency landing in the Dominican Republic. There's a stowaway in the landing gear compartment of a 747 freighter in Amsterdam. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 507 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins in
New York City.
And welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, GA, and joining us today, or me, from her lakeside studio in South, Dr. Skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument rated backstabbing jumper dumper, Dr. Steph.
Hey, Captain Jeff. I am so glad to be back this week. Really looking forward to a great show and glad to see all you guys.
And also joining us from his home studio in the Valley of the Sun, world traveler, airplane mechanic, Breitling cognoscenti, fitness-hounded international air freight captain, it's Miami Rick.
Hey, everybody. This might as well be the Valley of the Wind. It's been windy as heck, but happy to be back. Ready to talk to everyone.
Awesome. And from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer-director, it's Liz Piper.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. And joining us again from his home studio in the Air Capital, low and slow pilot, airplane mechanic enthusiast, and engineer in the aerospace and defense industry, it's Nick Camacho.
Hey guys, I'm glad to be back with you again.
We're glad you're here as well. And before we move on, we would like to mention that the co-host that is missing today is missing for a very good reason, and he asked us to read something to you, and this is, of course, Captain Nick Anderson. He says, "Hi, everyone. I must start by saying that rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated, but I apologize for being absent, and in particular for not getting a plane tale done this week. I've mentioned it before, but shortly after I joined Virgin, I fell foul of a heart issue. The company and the CAA were great, and I was back in the air after 6 months. I always knew it might reoccur, and the other day it did. I'm in hospital undergoing a raft of tests, and I'm confident I'll be as right as rain soon. Please don't be concerned. I'm in good hands and looking forward to getting back on the show." Nick Anderson. And we are as well. All our thoughts and prayers are, focused on you and your caregivers, Nick, and we hope that you're 100% shortly and back with us as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Get well soon, Nick.
Absolutely.
Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Can't wait.
Yeah. All right. So, what?
Nick, sorry, Jeff, just before you go on, somebody's saying, could they send him a card? Is there an address to send him a card? Should we give them our post box, or what would you think? Or
I think stand by on that information. Unsure.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we would want to
Okay.
do that
All
because
right.
it's sending it all the way here and then all the way back.
I know.
mean, it
Yeah.
could be months before.
And
he
hopefully
ever
we're not talking
got
about
something.
any, lengthy,
yeah
thing going on here.
We're
I don't
hoping
think so.
this is just a short-term thing.
Yeah,
so.
he should be out of there. Hopefully here soon.
ASAP.
So
Okay. Liz is going to talk to Nick's better half about that, and we'll see. We'll hopefully have that information for you before we end today's show, and if not, look for it in the show notes. And with that, in Nick's honor, let's do some aviation news. What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
All right.
Stand by for news.
This from the Aviation Herald. A hop! Exclamation point. Embraer ERJ 170 on behalf of Air France, registration Foxtrot Hotel Box Stop, Bravo X-Ray Golf, performing flight 1671 from Lyon to Cannes, I guess, France, was en route at flight level 280, about 70 nautical miles southeast of Paris, when the aircraft was overflown by a Cessna 550 business jet.
Wait.
Figures.
What?
Yeah.
How did that guy have the flaps out still, or? No, I'm just kidding. Cessna.
Wow. There's some
Listen,
Cessna hate for you.
I'm offended at airlinepilotguy.com.
I apologize.
We're starting right off the bat with the offense.
Yes.
Okay.
Offense or offense?
Or offense. Offense. Yeah. Well, here we go. Anyway, the Cessna 550 business jet had been cleared to climb to flight level 270. Both aircraft were able to continue to their destinations without further incidents. The BEA reported the Cessna 550 performing a flight from Paris-Le Bourget to Geneva, Switzerland, encountered problems with their autopilot while climbing through flight level 230. The pitch angle increased and the aircraft suffered a load factor. Not sure exactly what they mean.
That might be when that happens, especially the
I know. I hate it when I suffer a load factor. The aircraft had been cleared to climb to flight level 270, but overflew the Embraer ERJ 170 that was en route at 280. The Cessna crew reported they had a malfunction of the number one altitude and speed indication system. The transponder therefore reported erroneously they were on flight level 270. This created a loss of separation with the potential of a collision without triggering TCAS. The BEA rated the occurrence an incident only and opened investigation.
All right, I must stand corrected here. I thought the 550 overflying the Embraer was on the lateral way or just past it, but this is it overclimbed it, I guess. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, apparently that was a potential collision there, and I thought there was some other information that I had read regarding this. No, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of another incident. But is that all we know about that?
Yeah, I mean,
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Okay.
Problems with the autopilots is clearly they took manual control, which is what you're supposed to do, which is go through flight level 230, which is fine. You don't need autopilot till 280 anyway, so that's legal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean not a lot of information there. I don't think.
It sounds to me like maybe one of the altitude speed indication systems was in error, and that was the one that was associated with that particular autopilot, and maybe they didn't recognize it quickly enough to. But as you say, Rick, just turn everything off. Try to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks like your system is good. Let's go ahead and re-engage the autopilot with that one, not this one. But maybe it just happened so fast that they couldn't.
And it's perhaps I don't know, perhaps good to remind folks out there that past a certain point, depending on the country, you go through what's called transition altitude, where you stop referencing your local altimeter setting and start referencing what's called QNE, and it's 2992. So it's, everybody is referencing 2992 for that specific reason, so that everyone is guaranteed the separation that needs to be there for, first of all, safety. And the reason why you can't be hand flying past flight level 280-290 is because RVSM starts there, and your separation goes down to 1,000 feet vertically, which is sounds like a lot, but when you have two airplanes coming at each other with a closure rate of almost Mach 2, it's really not a lot. So you need
Is that the same in every country too, Rick? The RVSM altitudes, or does that vary?
No, yeah. So RVSM is it's the same everywhere. The thing that changes is transition altitude or transition level. I remember
right. I knew that was different. Yeah,
which is really weird, because I remember in Ecuador, the flight from Quito to Guayaquil. I think we're going to talk about Quito here in a little bit, but the flight from Quito to Guayaquil was only 30 minutes. And the transition altitude coming out of Quito was flight level 180, 18,000 feet, and then transition level going into Guayaquil was only 3,000 feet. So that made that made for a very confusing set of circumstances there if you weren't careful. So, but
and
yeah,
that's 18,000 in the United States, right?
18,000
to Class A,
and exactly, and it's transition altitude going up and transition level coming down. So.
Hey, Rick, I had a quick technical question about this.
Uh-oh.
So I'm familiar in smaller airplanes. The altimeter or the transponder is getting its altitude information through an encoder. So it's like a piece of transponder equipment. In bigger airplanes like this with flight management systems, is that a data packet coming from the AHRS, or is it still processing the altitude information on the transponder side?
Well, it's the latter, because bigger airplanes, at least the Boeings that I've flown, they don't have AHRS. Basically, the input that goes into the altimeter is just that. It's a barometric input that goes into the altimeter, and that goes through an air data computer, and that gets branched off to a myriad of subsystems, including the transponder and different autopilots, depending on what autopilot you're working with. Which is why, if you remember, back in 1993. 6, I think it was, or 97. It was an accident. It was an Aeroperu 757 that crashed into the Pacific Ocean because they'd taken off with tape over the static ports, and they were trying to figure out what their altitude was. And ATC was relaying the altitude to the pilots. But what the pilots didn't realize is that the erroneous altitude is fed to the transponder, and that information is fed to ATC. And so they were getting, garbage in, garbage out. It's just they weren't actually getting the real altitude. So, but just short answer to your question, big airliners don't have AHRS. It's just straight barometric input to many systems there.
Well, when I first got on the Mad Dog, we did have about half the fleet was AHRS, and half was IRS or IRU.
I've never flown a jet with AHRS.
Yeah, the thing that was really maddening about it is that it was very persnickety and not very stable. And on the ground, if you got up too close to somebody as you were taxiing out, and they always say, "Hey, snug it up," get closer to the airplane ahead of you because we need room on the taxiway behind you or whatever. But if you got too close and you get into the jet, the flow of jet exhaust for the airplane ahead of you, it sometimes, and we've seen this before, you look at your attitude indicator or your engine instrument, your static and pitot instruments, and if you get too close, all of a sudden you notice the airspeed's like bumping around or bouncing around. Well, that is fine for most of the modern systems out there, but for these AHRS systems, it was not good, and half the time it would just dump everything. So you had to be really aware of where you were in relation to the airplane ahead of you if you had one of those old systems.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of map shift and that kind of thing with those things as well. So
Yeah, but I mean, the whole map shift thing is, yeah, I guess it'd be a problem with ARs as well. But because we used to get a lot of map shift as well on non, well, back when I started flying 7.5s and 7.6s, we didn't have GPS, so the IRS, the inertial reference system, was not updated by GPS. So at the end of a very, very long transatlantic flight, you would have a very, very significant map shift, which is why I remember they had a circular out saying that you were not allowed, it was prohibited actually, to intercept a final approach course using lateral navigation, and lateral navigation only relies on inertial position. So whenever you were actually vectored, given your final vector to join a localizer or a final approach course, whatever the case was, you actually had to do it on head select to avoid that map shift. And it was pretty significant sometimes.
Yeah, we had triple INS in the C-141, and we on those long legs, we'd have to always keep track of all three positions on each INS, and
fun.
sometimes, you'd have to you'd see like one just kind of like departing from
Floating
the other
off.
two,
Yeah.
and so so
Nothing to do
you
with-
had to hope that.
Nothing to do with navigation systems in
That
airplanes, but
that happens. I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
sorry, Steph. That happens to this day. Actually, one of the things that you do on one of the coast out, well, it's called coast out checks, when we fly across the long expanses of water or whatever the case. You go through your position reference page, and you compare the relative position of each individual inertial reference unit, and to see which one is the most accurate, to see which one you can rely on. If you were to just go down to one, or just find yourself in a position where you have to shut the other two down, which is very, very remote.
Hey, Liz, I muted you. Oh, is everybody hearing me?
Yep.
Yes, go on.
I was thinking, why did everybody stop talking?
Well, there we go. Now I can't hear you, Jeff.
But what were you saying?
No, I was saying that you check all three and see which one the most accurate one is, in case you need to go down just one. You know which one to rely on. So,
As I say, not to do with navigation system in airplanes, but in my new vehicle has a very fancy navigation system, but there seems to be a black hole of GPS data on the street I live on. So it often shows me off-roading onto the golf course, which I find amusing every single time.
See, that's map shift.
Yeah, that is map shift right there. Real.
Oh, by the way, I just realized I have never muted myself because I was looking at the wrong audio chain in my software here, so I do apologize for that. I was muting the second microphone connected to my system, and I only have one. So.
That's
Yeah, that'll get you.
See, that and the load factor will get you.
Load factor. What?
Yeah, I know. I don't want to experience another load factor. No. Believe you me.
If they're flying around without experiencing load factors most of the time, I'd be curious about how
Probably
to do
in
that.
space.
How they stay in business.
Yeah, you want at least 1G.
1G, yeah, preferable.
That's preferable.
Yeah.
So I think of load factors as the number of passengers we have.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's
That's not what I think about.
That's thinking outside the
That's what
box
they're
there.
talking about.
I think about like the 1.3 for a 30-degree bank and stuff like that.
Yeah. I wonder how much of a load factor that they experienced. A couple G's, maybe?
Well, I tell you, if they held level flight and they backed to 60 degrees, it was 2 G's. That's all I know.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. That's enough of that one. This one from Jose, one of our listeners, and it regards something that we had talked about in an earlier episode, the Gulfstream Aerospace G4SP aircraft that crashed in the Dominican Republic. And he says, "Greetings, crew. This is Jose Enriquez. How did I do, Rick?
Perfect.
Okay. Long-time
No
listener for the first time sending a feedback. I am not a pilot nor professionally related to aviation in any way other than my love for anything related to airplanes. I'm afraid that my son Alejandro, who is 9 years old, got the aviation bug also. That's okay.
Good.
Yep,
I
we
was,
encourage that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was introduced to the podcast by our friend David Abbey, and I've been suffering from APG syndrome ever since. I met Captain Jeff at a meetup in New York City a couple of years ago. We met at a bar close to Central Park. It was a small gathering with David Abbey and Tanya. Yeah, I do remember that. Definitely. That was a good time. So he goes on. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. A few weeks back, the crew discussed an accident involving a Gulfstream G4 SP, registration Hotel Indigo 1050. The aircraft crashed while attending an emergency landing in Las Americas International Airport shortly after departing Dr. Joaquin Balaguer Airport. I don't know. Have no idea.
Yeah, I'm trying to bail you out there, but of course my Evernote crashed. So sorry.
Sure. That sounds like
That's
a
his excuse.
convenient
He
excuse.
just wanted to let you struggle through that one.
The intended destination was Orlando. The Dominican investigative body Junta de Aviación Civil released some findings of the investigation on January 18th, 2022. He said, this is a, quote, Google translation of the initial findings. Keep the blue side up, tailwinds, and unlimited visibility. Jose Enriquez. I think I did a better job of it at the beginning of this.
Enriquez. Oh, that's good, yeah.
Enriquez. Okay, so this is from the Aviation Accident Investigation Commission. Let's see. Let me get to the good stuff here. According to the investigation, the two pilots, the cabin attendant, and 6 passengers suffered fatal injuries as a result of the impact, and that the weather conditions at the time of the accident were favorable. The first flight of the aircraft that day left Puerto Rico, and once it arrived in the Dominican Republic, and after the passengers got off the plane, communication was established between the aircraft crew and the Helidosa company. I don't know how that would be pronounced. What do you think, Rick?
Hang on, I'm here trying to see here where you are.
Oh, you're still out? Okay.
He moved. No, he's down in the highlighted.
Highlighted section. The first highlighted paragraph, Helidosa or
Helidosa. I don't know where the company's.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Helidosa.
Who reported that the right wing ground spoiler actuators were going to be changed before the next flight, which would be to Orlando, Florida in the United States, continuing to Cleveland, where the crew would spend the night. Marte Piantini also reported that according to the investigation, the security cameras at the Dr. Joaquin Balaguer International Airport showed that the aircraft was towed to the hangars owned by the company, and that the work carried out on the right wing extended for approximately 3 hours. During that time, the passengers who would travel to Orlando waited in the VIP terminal of the airport. The investigative commission was able to verify that a similar aircraft was on the main ramp as a reserve to be used in case the maintenance work was not completed. But according to statements by a senior executive of the Helidosa company, the passengers required to carry out the flight on that particular plane. I kind of highlighted that in pink. I'm not sure why. It would be so important that they used that exact plane. Maybe they liked the paint job better or something. Upon completion, did you guys hear that?
Yes.
Yes. That was me. Sorry.
Oh, no, because it came in so loudly, I figured it must have something to do with something I have set up here. No? Okay.
I had so many comments to make just now, and I'm going to refrain from saying all of them.
Okay. Upon completion of maintenance, security cameras show activity under the aircraft's right wing, with spoiler movements on both wings, and upon completion, the aircraft is towed to the main ramp and prepared for flight at Orlando. The CIAA found that before and during the shoot, the security cameras show movements in the flight controls. Both ground spoilers went up, and only the ones on the left wing retracted. The 3 spoilers on the right wing stayed extended. Ooh. A video made by a witness from the
Quisqueya
Quisqueya
Quisqueya.
Stadium. Okay. Shows that in flight, the aircraft continued with the spoilers of the right wing up, while those of the left wing look like they are retracted, according to the investigation. The recordings of the aircraft with the control tower at that moment, the first officer stated that he had a hydraulic problem and later reported problems related to the flaps, then declared an emergency and requested vectors to direct him back to the international airport. As the situation progressed, they decided to divert to the Las Americas International Airport, where they were authorized to land in a south-north direction on runway 35. And after passing the head of said runway and turning left, they hit the trees and then the terrain on the right side of the track, about 200 meters. The total duration of the flight was about 15 minutes. Okay, so that first slide, Liz, is, I think, taken from one of the security cameras. And you can see the airplane taxiing out, and clearly you see the spoilers, the ground spoilers on the right wing are in the up position. And
which is really interesting. I mean, a lot of I've never. I mean, I don't know. I've never flown a G4, and I don't know
Is there
what
any indication of that in the?
Yeah, not only that, but the fact that oftentimes on bigger airplanes we have what's called roll spoilers, and so if you if you command a roll to a certain direction, then you're going to get the aileron and the roll spoilers come up. But if you look at the picture that was just on there a little while ago, you'll see that only the spoilers are up, and the aileron is flush. But then again, I don't know if this airplane is even equipped with roll spoilers at all. So that just does not look right away. And then just what you said, Steph, the fact that is there a flight control position indicator? Or are there flight control position transducers that show what the position of the flight controls is in real time, which is something that would be helpful in this situation? I don't know if you'd be able to look out the window and kind of see the wing, and maybe, I don't know. Again, I've never flown this kind of airplane, so I have no idea.
It seems to me, I haven't either, but that, seeing it from the cockpit looks to me like it would be impossible or difficult.
Yeah, I mean, so from that angle, you can't see to the cockpit windows there, so probably not.
Yeah.
Unless you opened up if they have an openable window up there that you can stick your head out. But
you'd have to have some indication on the ground then to stick your head out the window and look too,
Right.
Which would probably be difficult to notice.
So I'm assuming that everything that they were seeing on their display panels were indicating that everything was normal, because, you wouldn't purposely take off if you knew that there was something wrong.
And these position indicators are pretty straightforward in the way they work. It's just, they basically work proximity sensors. So if something isn't, if something is in a position where it shouldn't be, it'll show. And if you don't have a flight control synoptic page or a way of seeing what the position of the flight control is, then I imagine there'd be some kind of configuration warning letting you know.
Is that like a limit switch, Rick, or like a Hall effect sensor?
Man, you got me there. I have no idea. I'm just there's got to be some kind of, because usually the way these sensors work is by crossing lines of flux, and that is what is going to give a system the idea or the data input to let it know that a flight control surface or something that needs to be, the position of something is close to something else. So once those lines of flux get crossed, now this again might be older type technology. I'm sure there's newer stuff now, but the technology is pretty straightforward, whether it's new or old. And if there's no flight control synoptic page or a light or some kind of configuration warning, and then how would you know? And if you can't look out the window,
do you get on the airplanes that you fly? Do you get feedback from the actuator and a separate position indication?
Feedback from the actuator in what way? With the autopilot on or off?
Either way. Are there any indications of actuator health? Aside from just a position of the flap or whatever.
So yes and no. So we do have a flight control synoptic on all the Boeing jets have flown. And during flight with autopilot on, we have what are called so the yoke and the rudder pedals are connected to what are called back drive actuators. So the autopilot flight director system is going to basically show you on the flight controls physically what the system is doing for you to to kind of follow through. The only aspect or I guess axis that is not shown here specifically in the airplanes that I've flown because of the way it's built and equipped is your pitch control, because your pitch control is controlled by your stabilizer, and the only indication of changes in pitch control input is your stabilizer indexer, which is on either side of the throttle quadrant. Now, on older type airplanes and even newer type airplanes, really the 737 MAX retains the trim wheel, which will roll forwards and backwards, letting you know that the stabilizer is moving. But the cool thing about this whole thing is that when you have an autopilot working, you only have there we go. You only have pitch control at 1/2 the rate, because you only have one actuator working the stabilizer versus 2 on manual flight. So you're basically trimming at 1/2 rate, which is just what you want anyway,
right?
Because the stabilizer is such a huge flight control surface, so you want smooth transitions up and down. So
okay,
yeah.
All right. Well, so it certainly looks like taking off with the spoilers extended on the right wing was the problem there.
Oh, I had one more question real quick about that. I'm assuming you're not going to be able to feel that aerodynamically until you're way past the point you can do anything about it while you're on the ground. If you got one of those big spoilers up and one down.
No, you'll feel it. You'll feel it because oftentimes, so what you do is when you have very strong gusty crosswinds, you have to slowly and smoothly start applying a aileron input into the wind and opposing rudder input to keep the airplane basically on a cross control state by the time you take off. So your ailerons are certainly going to become effective very, very not very, very early on in the takeoff run, but early enough where you will be able to feel some kind of rolling moment, very likely prior to V1. But then then you get into what was the weather, where was the wind coming from, could that have been a gust? It's just so many things going on so fast, and you really are focused on engine health and your acceleration actually going. So a lot of things going on there.
Okay, we lost you for a second there, I think.
You're back.
Am I the only one that?
No, that happened. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, thank you, Jose, for sending in that preliminary report, and hopefully we'll learn more as the investigation continues. And I think we should move on to the next item here, which is from simpleflying.com. Perfect source of news for we simple people here at the APG.
The simpler the better.
Yeah. Man stows away on Cargolux Boeing 747 wheel from South Africa. I wouldn't. Anyway, I'm going to keep going here. This is from the Simple Flying and New York Times. Stowaway was discovered in the front landing gear compartment of a Boeing 747-400 on the 23rd of January. The discovery was made in Amsterdam aboard a Cargolux freighter, which had originated in Johannesburg, South Africa, with an additional stop in Nairobi, Kenya. This perilous journey would have taken nearly 12 hours to complete, assuming the man boarded in South Africa.
Which I doubt he did.
Okay.
I'm going to guess Nairobi was
I
his
think so.
origin there.
Probably, yeah. Let's see, the first leg of the flight from Johannesburg to Nairobi would take nearly 4 hours. And then it would arrive at 0017. Is that local time? Not sure. A little after midnight, we'll say. on the 23rd, and then the aircraft would spend 4 hours on the ground there, and then loading and unloading its payload as necessary. Then at 4:16 in the morning, the jumbo jet would depart for Amsterdam with a flight duration of just over 8 hours. The aircraft would touch down at Schiphol at how did I do, Masha? It was here in the Dutch capital that authorities discovered the stowaway. And Liz has been showing those slides of the route of flight. And as you guys said, it's most likely that the stowaway actually boarded the airplane or boarded the wheel well.
Yeah.
I've
been to both Johannesburg and Nairobi, and I can tell you this did not happen in Johannesburg. The cargo area in Nairobi is kind of off by itself, and the guy survived, so I guess I'm gonna crack some jokes. So unless unless the guy got off the wheel well and hit the duty free shop and then came back.
How do you think he was keeping warm that whole time, man?
Like,
He
exactly.
needed some liquid.
Yeah, that's why he went to the duty free. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This must have happened in Nairobi. But watch us be wrong, But because usually, so after an airplane lands, you have depending on the type of operation you're running and what each pilot's supposed to do. Usually PM or the FO, whatever the case is, or relief pilot will go downstairs and actually do a walk around. 4 hours on the ground is not uncommon for freighter crews to remain on the jet, which is, I used to do that all the time on the 747. You'd get somewhere, you'd wait 4 hours and, unload, load, and get back out, get back on your way. But in the interim, you'd have someone do a walk around, and then also you have maintenance personnel doing a walk around of the aircraft as well. So this is something that would have very, very likely been spotted on the ground in Nairobi.
Rick, apparently, these 747s are huge airplanes and obviously huge nose wheels because he was actually inside the wheel, according to this article.
He made a little slit in the rubber and climbed in and, sealed himself.
I find that kind of hard to believe because wheels are so landing gear tires are inflated with nitrogen, and we can't breathe nitrogen. Last I checked.
Well, it's like 82% of air, right?
Well, it's
100% nitrogen.
We need the oxygen, right?
It's 100% nitrogen in there for very, very specific reasons, and that did not happen. I guarantee you.
So I'm going to share this image right now. There we go. That you sent in, Rick. That shows the wheel well area. See, the thing to me when I read stories like this is, how would he know exactly where to position himself in that wheel well to keep from getting crushed by that whole mechanism?
Yeah, that's because it's. You look at it. It's not small because nothing on the Queen of the Skies is particularly small. It's the wheel well itself is pretty large, but it's not like you can feng shui the place. So it gets tight there. And also the other thing is that it's amazing that he was able to, one, not freeze to death, two, not pass out from hypoxia, just become hypoxic, and also that he knew to hold on when the landing gear was lowered for landing.
Yeah,
because oftentimes, I'm sorry,
people fall out.
I was just gonna say that was gonna be my only point in this whole story is, how did the guy not fall out when they opened the landing gear? Like I could almost get him doing some intelligence gathering and figuring out where he could fit with the gear up. But then to sit in there for 8.5 hours and just know when to grab onto something the instant that they start putting the landing gear down without falling out at 250 knots or whatever.
Right, and not only grab onto something, but knowing what to grab onto because it's a lot of moving parts, and you have 3,000 psi hydraulic system bringing those huge wheels down, and if you look at the picture that's on there now, you actually have both sets of doors open. So the big doors that are on the front there, those actually close back up after the nose gear has been extended. under normal circumstances if you have normal,
Yeah.
hydraulics and all that stuff.
Looking at it, I don't have a good sense of like how much space is there, either forward or aft. If you could like stand and hang on, or
Oh, it's pretty massive. It's pretty massive.
There's space to. You just have to know to be in the right spot and hope that you're not passed out from your hypoxia and frozen.
Yeah. See what's out of view here, and it's hidden right at the top of the image there, right where those two door linkages are, right on top of there, right just above out of view. There's two rubbing pads that are there to slow the rotation of the nose wheel once it retracts, because as we all know, newer type airplanes, because there used to be airplanes back in the day, there's still some out there actually that do have brakes on the nose landing gear, but these generally commercial airliners don't, and so the only way to slow the tires is by rubbing them against the rubbing pads. And it's really funny, next time you go and you're sitting up front, as soon as the gear retracts, you're gonna feel that vibration of the nose gear actually coming to a stop there. So as long as you stay clear of that, and but then again, as Nick said, you do need to do a little bit of recon and know where to hang on to, what to hang on to. And
I'm thinking probably toward the back part of that compartment would be, and to one side or the other, probably be the best.
Yeah. So
looks like there's like a little lip that you could
I
stand on.
There's room to stand there, and oh man, that's terrifying. Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
but glad he made it. He's that could not have been easy. You have to think about the fact that standard lapse rate about what 3 degrees per 1,000 feet.
Oh, that's cold.
So you get up to I've seen temperatures of minus 50, minus 60 Celsius up there.
Maybe it just got into like a state of suspended.
Well, you slow down your metabolic rate a whole bunch, and you're
and very young, that youth.
Right, I think
that may help.
Things in your favor if you're young and otherwise healthy and fit. Increases your chance of surviving.
So,
it seems to me all the stories that we've. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steph.
Oh, I was just going to say, Micah says, you think about the desperation that someone like that is in, just with their need to escape a situation or a country, and that's you need a lot of desperation there to be doing something like that.
I was going to say that it seems like the incidents that we hear about where the stowaway actually lives are the ones where it involves young people, young men in general. Yeah. All right. Ready to move on?
Sure.
Sure thing.
Let's talk about this also from simpleflying.com. 2 Indigo flights avoid mid-air collision in Bangalore. Earlier this month, the 2 Indigo flights came close to experiencing a mid-air collision after departing Bangalore. The jets had been cleared to depart on parallel runways and risked converging had it not been for an intervention from an approach radar controller. Reports have emerged. Okay, we just said that. We're not going to repeat all that. Okay. So we have a flight.
You could probably start with the close to colliding paragraph.
Okay. Where's
almost 3/4 of the way down.
Okay.
Unless anyone really wants to know which.
Steph,
sure.
Close
On the morning of the incident, a lack of communication amid a shift change almost caused a disaster for the 2 Indigo flights. News 18 notes that the southern runway, 9 right, was planned to be closed on January 7th, but this change wasn't relayed to the southern tower. As a result, the flights received simultaneous takeoff clearances from parallel runways. Okay, parallel, not perpendicular. With both flights heading towards northeastern India, News 18 reports that their headings would likely have converged. However, a radar approach controller, who the publication names as 42-year-old Lokendra Singh, spotted the potential for a collision in time and assigned the aircraft new diverging headings. This action potentially saved hundreds of lives. The near miss has now come to the attention of India's Directorate General of Civil Aviation. This government body now plans to investigate the matter, focusing on both Indigo and the Airports Authority of India. The AAI owns 13% of Bangalore Airport. Despite the near mid-air collision at 3,000 feet, both flights reached their destinations safely. The investigation likely won't reflect well on the parties involved, given that News 18 notes that parallel runway operations at Bangalore had already been red flagged. Furthermore, neither AAI nor Indigo immediately advised the Directorate General of Civil Aviation of the incident. It only came to light during routine surveillance and has served to highlight lapses by air traffic controllers.
New
So
stuff
not
has
a
come to light, man.
Not a whole lot of detail about how close in proximity these two aircraft. Parallel runways. Okay, so parallel, that's like railroad tracks, right? Not perpendicular, like, or converging. So
I have a question for the crew here. So what about these are both 321 Neos, I think, that I read in some other article. Maybe.
Yes, Airbus A320 Neos.
Okay. So I mean, they're modern airplanes and relatively new. Obviously, they have TCAS systems in them. They don't even mention, even if the controller had completely not noticed this situation, the TCAS systems would have, I think, helped to save the hundreds of lives.
I can probably go a step prior to that. I remember flying out of Bangalore several times, and out of there, you are never given a radar vector departures ever. You're always on an RNAV type departure. RNAV departures are, so from fix to fix, those are magnetic tracks that you're flying. You're not flying headings. And oftentimes, a lot of these RNAV, well, not oftentimes, always, these RNAV departures are RNAV 1. So you're basically what that refers to is what's called the relationship between RNP, required navigational performance, and ANP, actual navigational performance. So when you're in the terminal area, the navigational performance required to perform these kinds of departures, because of the proximity to other aircraft, is very, very, very tight. These navigational systems are armed on the ground, at least on, I've never flown an Airbus, thank goodness, but on Boeings, you arm what's called LNAV on the ground, lateral navigation. And as soon as you rotate at 50 feet, your lateral track is going to capture. So the active roll mode is going to be LNAV. And a lot of times, again, depending on the airline, the procedure is to connect the autopilot as soon as you can. A lot of these newer airplanes, Boeings that I've flown, minimum autopilot, minimum altitude to engage the autopilot is 200 to 250 feet. So you cross through 200 to 250 feet, you go autopilot in command, and now you have the autopilot managing the lateral track, which would prevent these kinds of issues. I guess there's more to the story that we're not hearing here, because there's a lot of holes that I think need to be filled here. I have no idea how the situation could have gotten to the place where it ended up if proper procedure had been followed, which clearly here it wasn't. A good thing that this lady was able to deconflict the situation, because the last thing you want is a midair over a very highly dense populated area like Bangalore.
Yeah, it is. They do make a comment down there at the end, that investigation likely won't reflect well on the parties involved, given that News 18 notes that parallel runway operations at Bangalore had already been red flagged. So there might be some existing holes there that they already have, either with their procedures or training that, it's already maybe a substandard operation, and it takes a lot fewer coincidences to allow something like this to happen.
Right. And the other thing is, I remember, maybe not here. Where the hell was it? But it was one of these airports somewhere on that side of the world where it was same deal, parallel runway takeoff going on, and in that particular airport, where was it? Was I in Bangladesh? I don't remember where I was, but anyway, they would stagger the departures to avoid this. So you'd have one airplane taking off first, and then obviously the next one, and then one and one and one and one. So
speaking of staggering. we have a news item coming up, sort of related to that.
We do, yes. I feel like we foreshadowed this particular news item several times now. So just
Yeah.
chop it at it, or feedback item. Not sure which. News item.
Okay, good idea, Liz. So let's move. Great segue. Speaking of staggered or staggering,
Did that on
we
purpose.
have. Yes. Did somebody just say something?
Oh, no, nothing. Just the whole staggering
Okay.
thing.
Okay. Let's, Jeffrey, play the video. Here we go. From Bass Aviation. Real aviation communications. Okay, we're going to skip this part. There's some words on the screen that really aren't that important. Okay, here we go. Oh, I didn't think about the fact that this is in
Only the first part.
Spanish.
No, only the first part.
Okay, so I should probably read what it is he said there, but it's now gone from the screen. Quito, good night. So just regular ATC communications.
Final corto 6 millas, estamos llamando desde la milla 9. Viento calma, pista 36, autorizada para aterrizar.
Runway 36, clear to land.
So the guy, just if you want to pause that for a second, just for context here, the guy, the airplane coming in, that Galapagos 1377 flight, told the tower that they'd been calling from 9 miles out, and they were now short final, and
Ooh.
then they hadn't gotten a response as to whether they're clear to land or not. So clearly something going on here, but we're gonna get the gist of what's really going on here with the next airplane here. It's gonna make a lot more sense.
Allegedly.
Galapagos 1377, mantenga esta frecuencia, continúa rodaje vía Alpha Juliet Charlie, puerta 10. Recibido, mantenemos frecuencia vía Alpha Juliet Charlie, puerta 10, Galapagos 1377.
United 1035 ILS 36. Tequila Tower, United 1035 ILS 36.
Continue, ILS approach runway 36, wind calm, QNH 10 degrees, 07 knots, runway 36, clear to land.
What?
Okay, green set continue. Now we are clear to land 36, United 1035.
That's correct. Wind calm, runway 36, clear to land.
United 1035, clear to land 36.
Yeah, the wind's calm. They don't need the controller.
United 1035, Baccarat Hanoi 13.
Huh?
Remain
36?
treatment, continue taxi gate 12. Remain with frequency.
Clearing at Alpha 3, remain with you, taxi gate 12, United 1035. Good night.
Talk about a polar shift, huh?
Good night.
Delta 632, taxi.
Uh-oh.
10 degrees, 05 knots, runway 36, clear for takeoff.
Ground Delta 632 is ready for taxi.
It's not funny, but
That's correct. 120 degrees, 05 knots.
That's correct.
He wants you to take off from the taxiway, Delta.
632 is ready to taxi.
Ready to taxi.
yeah, just taxi and take off. It's fine.
10,500 on the localizer.
Delta 632, 036, 05 knots, runway 36, clear for takeoff.
No.
Man.
Quito Tower, American 473, ILS Zulu 36.
Hello?
Contact Quito ground 121.2.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, Tower, American 473, ILS Zulu 36.
Yeah, we're in the air.
Continue ILS approach runway 36, wind 030 degrees, 04 knots, QNH 034 inches, report for on shore final is runway 36.
A little better.
Clear to land runway 36 and 3034 American 473.
Station Colicito ground, go ahead.
Yes, sir. It's Delta 632, ready to taxi.
Delta 632, taxi to holding point.
Alpha Juliet, Charlie, American 473. I think you said stand 14.
That's correct. Stand 14.
Thank you.
Tower Delta 632 is ready to end.
Delta 632, go ahead.
Delta 632 is ready for takeoff, runway 36.
Delta 632, wind 010 degrees, 05 knots, runway 36, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 36, Delta 632.
Delta
Let's get out of
632,
here.
contact approach 121 decimal 2, go flasher.
Delta 632, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, get riddance.
Good luck.
Yeah. Glad I'm out of here.
Yeah, good evening, Tower United 208. Responding, X-Ray Hotel. You're
Wow.
still standing by for flight clearance.
Oh, this should be interesting. So we're
Come
gonna try to
back,
get
please.
clearance from this guy.
Clearance. Okay.
Ground American 466 and 14 is ready to push and start information hotel.
Stand by, please.
Stand by.
Yeah.
American 466, taxi to holding point, runway 36. And start up on Charlie, continue taxi. When you're ready, contact tower 119 decimal 25.
Okay, American 466 is at stand 14. We're ready to push and get started. American 466 at gate 14, ready to push.
We can push back up program with 36 and start on Fort Charlie. Report before pushback.
Okay, we're pushing back on Charlie for runway 36, American 466.
Wow.
Indigo Tower United 2083. Request taxi, clearance to Houston.
Taxi to holding point, runway 36 when you're ready. Tower 118 decimal 35.
Nope.
United 2083, taxi to 36. We are on 11835. And via Alpha.
Via Alpha, correction, via Hotel Alpha.
Hotel Alpha, United 2083. Red Tower for United 2083. Do you have a clearance for us yet? We need a squawk and a altitude.
United 2083, confirm are you ready for takeoff?
That's affirmative. We will be.
United 2083, wind coming runway 34, take Air Force.
Clear for takeoff.
Yeah, we need a squawk and a clearance for departure for United 208.
United 2083, wind coming runway 36, wind for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff.
Sir, I can't take off without a squawk. I need a 4-digit squawk for departure and a clearance.
Scope 1, correction, scope 5541.
Squawk 5541, United 2083.
I feel like you just made those numbers up.
Man,
And we'll be
Yeah.
on Belay 4 for United 2083.
He's just clearing.
Well, I'm just going to
himself.
tell you what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going.
Wind calm, runway 26, ready for takeoff.
Okay, that's about
Wow.
probably way more than we needed to play that, but that is amazing.
That is painful to listen to.
Yes.
The interesting thing here is that clearly, from experience, these are flights that happen at night. Oftentimes a lot of these arrivals happen at night, and these departures early in the morning. I don't know if it must be the same, I guess, window. But I've never heard anything like this before. When I saw this, come up on the Evernote here, and actually had to read through it and actually go on some of the forums for local pilots down there, and talk to some of my former colleagues who still fly down there, and the proverbial poo hit the fan with this one. It's huge down there right now, and ICAO is actually looking at, they're not very happy with their whole with Ecuador's safety rating. I guess stand by for news on that one down the road.
I would hope though that was just one individual of several individuals that, I can't imagine that this would be, obviously we're assuming here that he was drunk or under the influence of something.
He sounded impaired, to say the least.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's various types of impairment, drugs, alcohol
Right.
can be one, and probably the most common that you'd encounter, but yeah, they'll definitely have to take a look into it.
And see, the other thing here is that is he doing what? He's doing tower, he's doing ground, he's doing clearance, he's doing the drive-through at McDonald's. He's doing everything. Is nobody else up there with him? What's going on here?
Yeah, it sounded like he was just by himself.
So yeah, that's just this is unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah, it's just kind of a minor miracle, maybe, that nothing, bad happened under.
And I tell you,
Patterson's
Quito's one of those places where you have to be not only the pilot on the on the pilot side of things, but ATC, you have to be on your toes there. You have very, very high terrain all over the place. You're dealing with with an airport that, the new Quito airport sits at about 7,500 feet, I think it was. I've been there in a while, but it's very high up in the mountains. Things happen very, very fast, and it's the international airport to the capital city of a country. So what does that tell you? So
yeah, it's concerning, at the very least. Okay.
Yeah, there's, people are asking about stroke, other medical conditions. It doesn't sound quite typical for that, but certainly they'll look into medical reasons for it as well, I'm sure. But the other guy,
Neil goes, he wasn't his own. The other guy was out getting salt and lemons.
Tequila Tower. Remember all these title ideas when we get to the end of the show.
Nick is not getting a reprieve from having to do the artwork. He'll just have to figure out what we were talking about.
It'll give him something to do while he's waiting for all this to get better.
Oh man, you're good.
Yeah. All right. Well, sadly, I hate to end the news segment on a story like that, but we figured we owed it to you, our listeners, to cover it at least. So, yeah. All right. Let's do this and kind of get to know what each of us has been doing since the last show. Now, Steph's here. I can't sing.
You can sing. It's okay.
I can hum.
I mean, I'm not
Your dulcet tones there, Jeff.
Yeah, right. All right. That's I love this segment because I like to know what's going on with my best friends since the last episode. And let's see. I'm looking for people to raise their hand. Who wants to go first with what they've been up to?
I can explain my
don't see
absence last week.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Yeah. No, sorry. It was kind of I was planning to be here during the show last week when we had planned the date and time and everything. But sadly, on my significant other's side of the family, his mother passed. So we had to obviously deal with things related to that. Obviously, arrangements and whatnot, and just needed to be there for him. So took time to do that over the weekend, and not an easy time for sure. Not wasn't a surprise per se. She had been unwell for quite some time. It wasn't exactly expected that minute, but it wasn't a huge surprise. But doesn't make it any easier, when it's your close family members. So I appreciate you guys. All the APG crew definitely reached out and let us know that they were thinking about him and his mom and the rest of us in the family, and we appreciate that. So thank you.
I hate to interrupt you,
always stuff
Steph, but
yeah,
you're super Skypey all of a sudden.
Skypey. Really?
Yeah,
That's
like
not the
your
first
signal is really not very good.
I don't know what to tell you about it.
Okay. Well, do you?
So someone else go, and then I'll.
Locally?
No, because
You're better now
Yeah,
than
you're
you
better
were
now.
like
Yeah.
90 seconds ago.
I don't know. Let me try. I'll start over. You can cut that out.
Yeah, you want to try it again? Okay,
Yeah,
Steph,
I can do
what
that.
have you been up to?
Yeah, no, I was not here last week. Was planning to be here, but on my significant other's side of the family, his mother actually passed away. Not completely unexpected. She'd been ill for some time, but certainly lots to take care of when an event like that happens, and certainly needed to be there for him and take care of those arrangements and take care of a lot of things just with regards to her stuff and making sure all those final arrangements were taken care of. But we do appreciate all the well wishes from you guys and the condolences. Just to say thank you very much. And moving forward from that. But basically spent the weekend there, and tough to get through, even if it's unexpected or not a surprising occurrence. So wish I had happier news to report that I'd been off on at a conference somewhere, but that was not the case for my absence. I've got one of those coming up though, so fear not.
Oh,
yeah.
Snow skiing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Conferences are back. So
boy.
have happier times ahead, but I don't have anything aviation related to report. I had to rearrange a little bit of work schedule for that, so it was kind of a busy week coming back from that, and a long work meeting on Tuesday night to boot. So everything's caught up now though, and I'm actually looking forward to a relaxing weekend. There will not be any flying this weekend because the weather is supposed to be kind of not great here, not as bad as some other places on the eastern half of the country, but it should be nice and quiet, and I'll get a lot of work done around the house, so that'll be good.
So are you going to be impacted at all from this nor'easter?
If an inch to maybe 2 inches of snow is impactful, then yes.
Could be.
Could be.
How about
but I don't
16?
even know that we'll get that much. 16 inches? What?
Oh,
Nice. No, some people are getting that much apparently this weekend.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's going to be lucky. Maybe.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe
No,
not.
I just wanted to
Sounds a
say,
little
Stephanie,
painful.
that we love you, and that Justice couldn't have anyone better than you to navigate these waters. And that's from the bottom of I know my heart and the rest of the crew, absolutely. So
thanks. Yeah.
You're one in a million.
You do what you can. It always it's never easy, but hopefully helped him get through that weekend as best as possible. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, good. We're glad to have you back. And
yeah, good to be back.
We were glad that you were there for Justice and helping him through all this. Yeah, I know about things that you kind of, they're not expected, but then when it hits you, it still is a
yeah. Well,
it's
it was kind of one of those things where it had been anticipated for a while, and then the situation would improve, and then it would be tenuous again, and then it would improve, and then it wasn't exactly expected right at that moment, but it wasn't surprising, but still hard. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Nick Camacho, you've it's been a couple of weeks since you were with us. What have you been up to, sir?
Well, we unfortunately a couple of weeks ago we had COVID come through our house, so we've been dealing with having children at home and having limited exposure and interaction with the outside world. But we got through all that all right, and finally got the kids back to school today. So that was a big step back to normalcy, I guess. I got to do a little bit of flying. Here comes one of them right now. I got to do a little bit of flying last week in my dad's Luscombe, and just continued to work on my Debonair, getting very close to flying. I've spent the past couple of days troubleshooting some EMI interference issues that I have with the new magnetometer set up in the airplane. So that's been a little bit... it's been a little frustrating because I understand mechanical things a lot more than electrical things, and when you're talking about the invisible little EMI gremlins running up and down wires, that's stretching my capabilities.
Hey man, that's why we're AMPs and not avionics technicians.
Right.
Actually, I was when I started out, I went through the avionics technician thing, and I got as far as going through the in-dock, and I was like, nope, I'm out. So
yeah. Yep.
So just for our listeners, what's a magnetometer?
So that's actually a little item. It's basically a little electronics box that replaces a compass. So I'm putting in electronic flight instruments in my airplane, and that's a module that will feed my electronic flight instruments with heading information. So because it's a kind of magnetic based device, it's pretty sensitive to electromagnetic interference.
Now, quick question for you, Nick. What were those called back in the day? And where were they placed?
What were the magnetometers called?
Uh-huh.
Is it? Are you talking about like flux gates?
Exactly, flux gates. And on the 720, because when I got my airframe license, I had to do a lot of rigging for flat control for cables and all that stuff. And the flux gate was at the very tip of the wing because that was the area that was least affected by magnetic fields. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Damn, man,
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, they actually recommend to install it in the wingtip if possible. But on my airplane, I have tip tanks, so I can't put it out in the wing tip. And then once you start coming inboard, then you end up having to cut a hole in the wing. And so I didn't want to do that. So mine's back in the tail cone of the airplane.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if you have too many holes cut into the wings, I hear that's not a good thing.
Yeah, fuel starts leaking, your range goes way down.
It's a mess.
Not good.
Yeah,
then you get a possibility of a fire, and then feds are not happy.
Yep.
So
all sorts of problems.
Exactly, and then you run into a drunk controller. Just complete.
Liz is saying, could that possibly be what happened to the guy that was what do you call those things? Crop duster. The crop duster that.
Yeah, too many holes in the wings. Yeah, too many holes in the bottom side of the wings. That is probably what happened there.
Yeah. Although, if you have like holes in the wings, it makes it easier to see stuff below the wing.
That's true.
Yeah,
sightseeing and stuff. Okay. It's all give and take. All right. Rick.
Yes,
what
sir.
You been up to, man?
Well, I have officially forgotten how to fly an airliner. So when I go back to work next week, I hope
it's like a
that
like a bike.
I think you pull back and the houses will get smaller, but I have to recheck on that.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I've just been at home, just hanging out, doing a lot of work here at home, playing with the dogs, grilling steaks, drinking beer, reading books, and doing taxes. So that's what I've been up to. Really, not a lot more to report other than that. Going back to flying next Sunday. It's going to be a short little 5-day trip for me, which is kind of weird. It just doesn't feel right being gone for only 5 days. So I do an Ontario to Rockford. Then I do Rockford to Portland. Portland to Honolulu. Honolulu to Ontario, and then I'm done. So that's very, very, very vanilla schedule for me. Not used to that. So it's gonna be good. Looking forward to
you'll get used to it.
Flying with a really good dude. Flown with him before. We did a lot of flying out in Taiwan and Japan and China a couple of years ago. Former Navy guy, so he's a solid dude. So look forward to that. It's gonna be fun.
I don't know. You got to watch out for those Navy guys.
Yeah, I hear they like to tell you about how many traps they have, especially over the PA.
So, I've been wanting to play that. Should we play that? Since
Yes.
You're alluding to it.
Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just saying that this guy's a cool dude.
Uh-huh. Well, maybe might be the same guy that I'm about to play right now. Let's see. Let's see. You feel ridiculous when you make your PA on the frequency, but you feel more ridiculous when you make it on
And ladies and
guard.
gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking, Captain Richard. Welcome aboard your Delta Flight to Atlanta. We've leveled off with a good ride. Seatbelt sign is off. We will give you an update on the Atlanta weather when we do begin our descent. Right now, computer shows approximately 2 hours, 20 minutes flight time remaining. Little background about your captain. Retired from the United States Navy after 27 years as special instructor pilot.
Glad you told
Logged
us.
123 aircraft carrier landings.
That's not very
I'm at the
impressive.
controls of your flight today, so you're in good hands. If there's anything we can do to make your flight more comfortable, please let the Delta girls in the back know.
Delta girls?
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Ow.
Go Navy Delta.
This is the good stuff right here.
How many carrier liners is that? 27 years, baby? Wow, that's a lot of carrier landings.
Of course, his name is Captain Richard.
And he's wearing
his nickname.
Yeah,
Right.
and he was wearing his double-breasted jacket and hat while he was doing this PA of his. So it was Captain Richard. This is the reason why we get to experience the freedoms that we do, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Yes,
for
thank
your
you.
service. Yes, sir.
Smart, snappy salute to Captain Dick.
Yes, sir.
For letting us know about his experience. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did that on guard so everybody could hear some of the PAs that are being given out there. Come on, guys. Really? Okay. Yeah. So, thank you for allowing me that great segue, Rick.
You are welcome, sir. It's what I do.
Yeah. All right. My turn?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see. I am on a trip right now, but it's let's see. Last time we recorded, help me out, Liz. Was I on a trip? I think I was.
You
I
were
think
on
I
a
was
trip. I remember that.
Yeah. Was I in Wichita?
You
I
weren't
was.
Kansas, because I remember thinking of. The
I was
movie
in
Almost
Wichita,
Famous.
and Nick Camacho wasn't there because we really missed Nick, but not really so much Nick. I really missed his cell phone that has T-Mobile 5G service as a hotspot, because the hotel Wi-Fi and my own AT&T hotspot service was definitely not up to snuff. And that was a bear editing that show with all the bad signal that I had to deal with. But no, I'm just kidding, Nick. We missed you too. But did that and came back early Saturday morning. Did my singing thing on Saturday afternoon at my church. And let's see. And then, I picked up some more flying. Oh, I did a lot of flying, didn't I? Yeah, I did a green slip, overtime flying, just to help the company out, not me.
Yeah, of course.
It was a 2-day green slip. And then I'm on a trip now, but it's not an Acme trip. It's a personal trip. And should I even mention this? But yeah, why not? I am now an official, I am now a South Dakotan. I'm here in Rapid City and changing my dom. I'm kind of getting prepared for my full-time RV lifestyle. That will hopefully happen in the near future when I take delivery of the RV, and I'm officially a nomad. And so I got my driver's license and other things. So that's why I'm here. Personal trip here in Rapid City.
Hey, good on you. South Dakota. I hear their governor's a babe, so very nice.
Yeah.
And she,
I'm meeting with her tonight, actually. So
are you? Okay.
Keep
Yeah, we got to get this going. Absolutely.
Just kidding. I'm sure she's a happily married woman.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming that anyway. But yeah, it's really pretty out here. When I got in yesterday afternoon late, it was snowing, and I'm thinking, whoa, and it was icy too. I'm thinking, okay, got to be careful. Not used to driving around this stuff, but they do a pretty good job of keeping the roadways clear of ice and snow up here. So anyway, much better weather today. It's sunny, and the temperature is actually getting close to 50 degrees out there, I think. So not bad. Yeah, heat wave, right. Anyway, I should also mention, now I should probably hold this until the next show, but I'm going to just briefly mention it here, just so that Dan knows that I did receive his little goodie bag. Dan wrote in and he said, fellow widgeteer here, Acme, of course, he's talking about, I have a few things that I wanted to send you that you may like. Just need a good address. So he sent these to my address, and he is a 220 captain, and on the way at some point to Atlanta 737 captain, and he's also a former mini dog commander, which is what I am right now. And he has a little business on the side, and he sent me a whole bunch of really cool stickers, which I will try to remember to take some pictures of, include in the show notes, so that you can see these things and information about how you can order your own. I believe it's Cockpit Creations, the name of his company, but I'll hopefully remember to say something about this next show and then actually show you the...
That's all great, Jeff, but what I really want to know is how many carrier traps does he have?
So Liz was saying the same exact thing. Okay. You guys are on the same frequency. Anyway, so there you go. Anything else? No, I get back to Atlanta tomorrow, have one day off, and then back out again on Monday.
And you sound like me. Oh, man.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of flying.
We've switched roles here.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's it for our Getting to Know Us segment. We need to... Oh, thank you. We're not finished. We do need to talk about... Thank you, Liz. Last week's cover art by our resident artist, creative, Nick Anderson. And the title of the show last week was Writer's Block. You'll remember we had the audio of the... oh, by the way, Falcon Field. Somebody wrote in and said Falcon Field is in Arizona.
I should have known that.
Not the one that I was saying. I just heard the guy's accent, the tower controller, and it sounded like something that you would hear in
I know.
Georgia. But
Reminded me of that movie, My Cousin Vinny.
yeah. No. Yeah? Okay. It's been a while since I've watched that movie. But anyway, they talked about the pen, the the item, the notebook, whatever. They were having trouble figuring out what it was, and then finally the controller realized it was a pen, P-E-N, on the center line or just right of it. And so Nick took that as his idea and entitled the show Writer's Block. And we have some interesting pen people, I guess you'd call them. I did not find the show. I think I did on the bottom of the show number and the bottom of the little pens in the background there. And we see an airplane coming in for a landing. Looks like some kind of a heavy with truck landing gear. Oh, who failed to find it? Come on.
iHall boxes failed to find it. Yeah.
You have to kind of zoom in on the... what happened? It's gone. You have to zoom in on the bottom of the pens in the background, and I think that's where you'll find the show number. Nick likes to try to make that not so obvious. Anyway, why don't we remove the slides and talk about the coffee fund? And just a reminder, Liz, I have that in the overlays. And so here we go. It's time for us to talk about the coffee fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee.
Come on, sing along with me.
I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup.
All right, the Coffee Fund, your way to support the show financially. A couple of different ways to do that. One is the Coffee Fund Classic method. And since the last episode, we had a couple of folks contribute. Vigner, who we believe is from Finland, right? Also, he did his monthly recurring contribution. Thank you, Vigner. And Mike Harrington, he is new to our coffee fund. Thank you, Mike. Gave us a nice one-time donation. I don't know if I know that he was in the chat room earlier. I'm not sure if he is still with us or not. If you are, raise your hand, your digital hand. Anyway, that's one way to do it. You can also become a patron of the show via patreon.com. You pledge a certain amount per episode, and you can be a part of the financial support of the show. Again, if you want to learn more about the Coffee Fund, the Coffee Bar Club, head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did. We will too.
Captain, incoming message.
All right, I'm thinking that I could probably use a little bit of a physiological break. What happened to everybody? Is Rick still with us?
I think they were thinking the same thing. It looks like.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Rick has departed.
Rick was in honor of Captain Nick. This is what Captain Nick normally does during the coffee fund. He
disappears.
He bugs out and then tries to get back in time for our feedback section. Say something, Steph. It almost sounded like you were breaking up again.
Oh man, sorry. I just had to step away for a phone call there, but I did check on my internet while I was away, and it seemed fine.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
I don't know what's going on with it.
It seems like you just have very short patches of like
it's fine,
minimum.
and then it's like
yeah,
and then it comes back.
Almost like there's something syncing or backing up in the background, or something that's occupying the CPU. Well,
I don't know.
In an inopportune time.
Yeah,
anyway.
Usually just when I try to speak, it's fine most of the time.
Which is
and then as soon as I try to do anything,
inopportune. Yeah.
My
Okay.
face isn't matching the sound either. Should I leave and come back? Like all the way?
You can try it. I'm going to
Since
go
Rick's not
leave and come back because I need to use the little pilot's room.
Ah.
Here I go. I'm going to take myself out and mute myself, and I'll be right back. Have fun, kids.
Okay. Well, I'll wait
Yep,
until
I'll
you
be
get
back
back to. Oh, you're leaving too?
I'm just gonna run up and get something to drink.
All right, go ahead. Apparently it's amusing the folks in the chat room that my face is not synced to my sound. But it looks perfectly fine to me. Does it look okay to you, Liz? Yeah? Liz says it looks fine. I'm not singing the Coffee Fun song. It's definitely not happening. Aw, puppies.
This is Lucinda. Hi, Lucinda. Say hi to
Lucinda.
everybody. Lucy.
Does she
I call her
speak
Lucinda.
uncommon- Lucy.
Lucille. I call her all sorts of things.
There's a lot of good name options there. She's a cutie.
Girl. Yes. Daddy loves you.
How's the driveway? Were you checking on your driveway, or are they just asking me about my driveway? This is far more entertaining than anything that I can say, so I'm just gonna let Lucy entertain.
You got tricks, Lucy? You got tricks? No? I have no treats, so you gotta be working for free here.
Does she know any tricks?
She refuses. Oh, she knows plenty of tricks. So she
She just won't do it without compensation.
yeah, exactly.
She's a union dog.
She's a union dog, and
I
she's
got it,
she's local 2350, car carrying, and she's on break right now. So
Yes. Oh, trouble parking. Oh, yeah. No, my driveway was blocked. That was the problem. The driveway itself is fine. It's still there. Yeah. What you drinking? Is that the same? Oh, no.
I got one of these right here.
Speedway Stout.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Rick definitely appreciates the stout. Oh,
I
my.
do. This is 12%. So.
Oh God.
Yeah. Wow. I'll be moving down to Quito and becoming an air traffic controller here soon.
Yeah.
You Ecuadorians.
Yeah, I was already born there, so why the hell not?
I know.
You're like, wait, I heard they had a job opening.
Exactly. All right. I don't need to.
The prerequisite was how much.
Rick goes, I don't. What's what? I don't know what's.
Sounds
so
perfectly
funny about
fine to
this.
me.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. I don't need no work permit down there. I got the papers.
I just opened up
We'll look
this.
forward to the.
Yeah, I look forward to that
the
feedback.
clips. Yeah, we'll look forward to the live ATC clips.
So I just opened up this Guinness. I don't know if you heard it, but
I heard
pretty
it.
much
I did.
sprayed over everything,
Oh,
including
jeez.
my hands.
Oh, that's
The long APG tradition of spilling your beer all over your electronic equipment during a show.
Exactly.
Yeah, you haven't done that yet, Steph.
Yeah.
Nor you, Rick.
I can. Hang on.
Oh, no.
I'm planning to not.
I want to fit
do
in with the
that.
cool kids.
No, you don't.
I'll do whatever it takes.
Okay. Liz has just informed me that she's having to fiddle around with the timing and everything else, but we're going to be starting off at about the 1.5 hour point. And so because we don't have our old pilot and his absolutely amazing plane tales this week, we have a little bit more time to cover feedback. So we're going to be able to knock out a lot of the feedback that you guys have sent
No,
us.
wait, seriously. I thought Steph was going to read that report of hers.
Oh,
I was going. Well, I think I need that beer that you're drinking before I can do
okay.
adequate justice to the report.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only that, but you need to
Mind
put
you.
on a British accent. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Oh, yeah,
So,
naturally.
yeah.
After a full
British accent?
Naturally.
Can you?
Probably, but not right in this moment.
Okay. Not when I put you on the spot.
Not when you put me on the spot. I had to think
Not
about
that
it.
we're putting on your spot or
Think about it
anything.
for a
You know,
moment.
it's just.
I could probably do it. I don't know.
Okay.
Probably just embarrass myself. Yeah. I'm all for
you
that.
would never do that stuff.
No, I never embarrass myself.
All right. So shall we continue with feedback? Oh, you know what I need to do before we do that? I actually have to load something, a video, to go along with this piece of feedback. And so I gotta hit this share and video file and. By the way,
I like that. I like that idea. Nick's
Toast
health is
for
the
Nick.
toast. Absolutely.
Drink to Nick's health.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Old pilot's health.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Not only
Get
that,
better, buddy.
I'm gonna pour one on the curve for Nick.
Does Lucy like beer?
Oh, she likes everything.
Oh, okay.
She's a well-cultured canine.
We can all appreciate that. I don't know what that means.
I don't either, but it's now on the
there
record.
was empty airspace there, and I had to say something, so I did.
Exactly. It's not always the best idea. Okay. Is this it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good idea, Liz, producer. And in this case, director. She's directing me to let you all know that if you're interested in sending your well wishes to Nick, probably the easiest and most effective way would be to send him an email at his address, not feedback, but at nick@airlinepilotguy.com. That way Nick gets it, and it'll go directly to him and won't go into the
You won't have to worry about us reading it if you
holding
want to
bin.
say something
Yeah,
really
we won't.
mushy and
Yeah.
lovey-dovey.
Yeah, or if you want to
Very-
complain about the rest
Or
of us.
talk about how
Yeah.
horrible the show was without him. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Feel free to say all those
take
things.
offense.
Yeah, and please remember that we're having issues with the palpitations, so no raunchy pictures or anything of the
let's
sort.
take it easy.
Thank
Of course,
you.
I was kind of guilty of.
Nothing that will excite his ticker too much.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Looking
Sorry,
for
Nick,
calming, soothing things.
Calming.
If you're watching this, Nick, I do apologize for those pictures I sent.
No, he doesn't.
It might be why he's still in the hospital. Okay. With that, let's start off with some feedback from Jeffrey. He sent us a link to a YouTube video entitled Star Wars Canyon for January 2022. And so here we go. We're going to take a look at this. That's loud, sir. Sound of Freedom.
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars Canyon, January 2022. It is a Falcon, as I said, 8X, 3-engined business jet, long range, going through the, what do they call this? The Star Wars Canyon in Death Valley. Stephen Ivy and I kind of perched ourselves in this area, hoping to see something go by. But
No
nothing.
such luck.
Nope. They must have known we were
Looks
there.
like fun.
Yeah. So I was going to cue it up at this point coming up.
This is Fred Johnson. We're moving through the snow in southeast Oregon and northern Nevada.
With Stephen
on the
Ivey
way
and
to
Jeff
Star Wars
Nielsen.
Canyon for an epic adventure. Stick around. We are on the rim of Star Wars Canyon. Get ready for some special action.
All right. So we see that Falcon jet and a chase plane that just went out of frame. That chase plane obviously doing some photography work. Such a beautiful airplane. You know, they say that these Falcon jets, business jets, are about as close as you can get to like a military
To a
fighter.
Mirage
the
fighter.
way
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Who? Isn't that what? I don't know.
Is this Pip?
Yeah, no, I don't think Pip flies the Falcon. Plus, this looks so like expert flying and so smooth. I couldn't pick that.
Definitely not Pip. Or any of us for that matter.
Yeah, definitely not any of us.
And, you know, the airplane didn't hit the canyon wall, so it can't be Pip. It must be somebody else. Anyway, very cool. So that's it. We're going to put the link in the show notes so you can watch the rest of it.
Yeah, so what they don't tell you there is that the guy's actually looking for an opening a meter long by a meter wide, and he's got to shoot through there to blow the planet up.
A proton torpedo.
That'll be on APG episode 508, so stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
Be a good one.
Yes. Very good. All right. Thank you, Jeffrey, for alerting us to that YouTube video. Oh, Josh, the next item in our feedback says, "Hello, airline pilot guys. Thank you all so much for the great information regarding my previous feedback. When I heard my name on the podcast, I sure was grinning ear to ear as I got to become the star of the show for a little while. I will definitely try to start on my private pilot's license, parents and school permitting. As to the design defects, apologies, I probably should have researched a little more. Seems like engines falling off a 747 does indeed fall under the category of design flaws. Surprising, right? On to, excuse me, it's the Guinness with speaking.
Actually, they're actually supposed to do just that.
What?
They separate from the pylon at that specific way. They're just basically engineered to do that.
On a regular flight?
Hopefully not regular, because otherwise it would be a lot of 747s flying around. But if it gets to the point where the engine's on fire and the wing's going to catch on fire, then the engine just separates. And it's
that
really
way the
cool
entire
because-
airplane's not on fire.
Is there like a special lever or switch?
No. So basically, the way it works is you have the mounting bolts to the engine and the pylon. The aft bolts melt at a higher temperature than the front bolts do, and so when that happens, those release first, and then the engine is supposed to, by design, fly over the top of the engine and fall away. So,
what if they like mix those two bolts up? You know, like they're in a certain bin and somebody screwed up the labels or something.
Then you're up the creek.
Okay.
Yeah, not good.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. Well, anyway, Josh continues. Remember, Josh is the young man who is, I believe, still in high school, right? Anyway, on to some interesting news. The Russian-made Irkut MC-21 recently got its type certification from the Russian Federal Agency for Air Transport, and it seems somewhat promising. Not only does it have fairly efficient engines and range comparable with the A320neo and 737 MAX, it also has a much wider cabin, possibly meaning improved passenger comfort. Just wanted to see if the APG crew had any thoughts or predictions.
Nah, just more opportunity to cram more passengers in. They'll make use of that space.
Yep.
Have you? I didn't look up the Irkut MC-21 to see what. Is that the one that kind of? No, that's the Chinese one that kind of looks like a DC-9.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of the C919.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the one that's been on proven flight for the last 47 years.
Yeah,
that one
for a while.
The MC-21 looks pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who's going to buy that thing?
That was my question that I was going to ask you guys. Is everyone talks about these airplanes coming out of Russia and China, and obviously China can feed their own. They can kind of feed their own procurement path because they have so many people and routes out there. But some of these other kind of Far East countries, I'm curious who's going to be buying these airplanes.
I was being facetious. I was going for Qatar Airways because they just Airbus just.
Oh, because they just got rid of their Airbus, or Airbus booted them off their Airbus orders.
So that's who's going to buy that.
Is it a wide body? I'm looking this up while we're doing the show,
No,
which I probably shouldn't do.
I don't think it's a wide body. It's
there's an Airways mag that says Russia's new wide body alternative.
Oh, really?
But then it only has one aisle. It looks like
I think
3
it only
seats
has
on
one
each
aisle.
side.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it doesn't.
Interior here. Yeah, it's
I can't tell from these
does
pictures
look
if it's a narrow body or a wide body.
roomy, but
Yeah.
it's
It
single
looks
aisle.
bigger than a normal narrow body, but maybe not quite as big around as a wide body.
I think that's maybe right.
Yeah.
So I mean, will this be? Do you think that this will like migrate its way west and start and come into service in Europe? Be a desirable alternative?
Wow. Well,
I mean, political climate notwithstanding, with what's going on over there right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we can avoid World War III, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that, and there's the whole, little tiny itty bitty little detail called certification, which it's not usually very easy to navigate through. But I mean, hey, if the demand's there and the money's there, then
Well,
I don't see why not.
Maybe it's one of those things where if it takes hold in the local economy and proves itself well, then that makes that certification process easier down the road. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or more favorable, maybe.
And I think also it depends on, what kind of engines are being used to power the thing, right? I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Josh continues. I wish the crew a visibility of 0 miles and 90 knot crosswinds. Shoot. Did I mess that up?
No, you
Jokes
sound like
aside.
my sim instructor.
Weather's always perfect in there, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
No.
Thank you for creating such a lovely podcast that not only satisfies my aviation craving, but also provides a calming, usually, break from AP coursework. And yes, I wish the crew clear skies and calm winds. Ciao. Josh from San Diego. And he says, P.S. I should clarify, I was excited to be a co-star of the show for a bit. The true stars of the show will always be the APG crew. Just had to stop my high schooler ego from reaching new heights. Have a great show. Yeah, Josh, keep it in check, would you? Come on. All right. It's always good to hear from you. Thank you for
Absolutely.
sending in the
No, I
feedback.
like to hear the excitement of the young folks. I can say that as
Yep.
I approach
Hey, we were all
not
there
being,
one time.
We all, yeah, absolutely. All were.
That's why I really appreciate you, Steph, and Rick, and Nick Camacho. I always
For being
enjoy
young.
hearing the kids' point of view.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, I mean, like,
Did we help Rick figure out how old
is
he
Rick
actually
again?
is?
Well, yeah. No, but seriously,
I don't know.
like,
How
Yeah,
old are
you need to fix that errata from the last episode.
I'm 44. No, I'm just kidding.
Keep going the wrong way. You're
Wait,
going
30
the wrong
30,
way.
37? No,
No.
but seriously, like, I remember growing up and thinking about. I had all these questions and all these things I wanted to ask someone that was actually in the industry, and I would have given anything to have access to some kind of medium that would be able to, answer those questions. Someone that was actually in the industry, somebody that actually did what I wanted to do, what my dream job was. And this is really cool that you're able to reach out and talk to people that are willing to not only answer your questions but share their passion for your passion. And that is what it's just that's what it just makes me so it just
Gives you
makes
the
me
warm
feel
fuzzies.
it makes me feel so lucky to be able to not only be in this position but to inspire the next generation of aviator, because I wish I'd had something like this growing up and that wasn't the case. So
This really, truly is a time in history where the technology is mostly good, like what you just mentioned, being able to hear people talk about doing the job that they dream of doing at some point in their future. But also a time where if you're going to replace the mix valve in your Delta shower thing, and you just go to YouTube and do the
YouTube
search
is
terms, and
amazing.
you can watch people do it, and it's so incredible because I think that Rick, you may be old enough to remember, and maybe Nixie and Steph, that like when you were doing work on your car, you had to go and get the Chilton's manual or the whatever the other manual was called.
Or just take it back to probably for our generation, you're going to write a report for something in school, and you got to pull out, dust off the encyclopedia set, and go leafing through the index and figure out where that entry is, and it's not just magically at your fingertips on the Google machine or Wikipedia.
Well, I wouldn't know. I'm only 26, so.
By the end of the show, he's going to be like a 5-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I seriously just did that though, Jeff. I did a fair amount of work to the interior of my car using someone's YouTube tutorial, and it worked.
There
great.
you go. Yeah,
you can teach yourself
Chilton and Haynes
orbital mechanics on YouTube, like you really can. So it's
it's a pretty amazing time. On the other hand, there are some downsides to it as well. But I think, for the most part, most of we humans in this world are good people. It's unfortunately we get to hear a lot.
And then there are the ones
about
that crash Taylorcrafts on YouTube.
Hold that thought.
Yeah, we should put some more of those in there.
Again.
Yeah, but the clout, man, come on, the clout.
He's just, I mean, I don't know if you put that one in the, I don't think I shared it too many places, but he's just, socially awkward, and he needs to participate in solo skydiving, and that's how else are you going to not have to deal with anybody else ever?
Well, you know what? Let's do that, Liz. She's thinking, let's jump over to 19.
See, when stuff like that comes around, I feel like I'm 57.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even remember what 57 felt like.
So long ago. 19, you say?
It was a good time. It was a good time.
Well, 1957. I wasn't even born back then.
Oh,
I thought you were talking about age 57.
Yeah, I was.
Okay. We have this feedback from Magnus. He says, "Warning to all GA pilots: a guy sucked out of his GA plane." It's a YouTube video. And he said, "Hi, Captain Jeff and crew. Just wanted to recommend the video as a warning to all GA pilots out there. A guy got sucked out of his small GA aircraft." And he says, "Scary stuff. Take care. Best regards, Magnus Gladden. P.S. Dr. Steph. Wear your parachute when flying. Thank you." So
I did know GA aircraft had to contend with Delta P, but apparently they do.
He's going to explain why here in a minute, he brings up a lot of good points.
It's a different take on the on that video that we watched a couple of episodes ago, Trevor Jacobs' airplane crash. So let's take a look at this or listen.
I'm Brian, and today I want to talk about something that nobody is talking about. This aviation YouTuber guy got sucked out of his airplane while he was in flight. I've seen a couple of people talking about it, and there's some people saying that maybe it was a stage stunt. No, what happened was the door came open in flight, and he gets sucked right out of the plane. This happens a lot. If you watch movies, any movie where there's a plane, probably at some point people are going to get sucked out of the plane. It happens all the time. It happens in big planes. And it happens in these small planes, and it happened to poor Trevor here. So I want to talk through this video a little bit and show you some of the warning signs early on and how he struggled to try to stay in the plane. But at the end of the day, he did end up getting sucked right out. And thank God he had a parachute, because otherwise he would have died.
Oh, yeah. Not staged at all.
Love the way he stares.
Just died.
Just Plain Silly is the YouTube channel.
Is that the dude's name? It's his name.
That's the guy who runs this.
All right, so our friend Trevor is about to make probably one of the scariest flights of his life, and it's for a good cause. A friend of his passed away in 2015, and he's going to go spread the ashes from his airplane or a paramotor or something.
I got my best friend Johnny Strange's ashes with me.
And so the guy apparently, I guess, passed away about 7 years ago. But if you keep the ashes in a Ziploc bag, then it's still fresh for the disbursement or whatever. No disrespect.
So the flight plan is he filed for two passengers, or like a pilot and another guy?
Go paraglide off of one of his favorite mountains up in the Sierra Nevadas and spread some of those.
Let me back this up. I love.
It's so
the
funny
way
his comment about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
He's going
no
to go
disrespect.
Spread the ashes from his airplane or a paramotor or something.
I got my best friend Johnny Strange's ashes with me.
And so the guy apparently, I guess, passed away about 7 years ago. But if you keep the ashes in a Ziploc bag, then it's still fresh for the disbursement or whatever. No disrespect to Johnny, just to Trevor.
No, none at all.
Go paraglide off one of his favorite mountains up in the Sierra Nevadas and spread some of those. So I'm super grateful. He'll be joining us. Got to give a shout out to the Ridge Wallet.
I saw some people on YouTube saying it was tacky that he was talking about spreading his friend's ashes and then just diving right into an advertisement for that wallet. But that's the Ridge Wallet. It holds your credit cards, your IDs. It's got RFID protection, and there's a little pouch for ashes if you have a small friend that you want to disperse from a little airplane.
I was going to make fun of the guy saying just that right
to
now.
what he's doing. Okay, so we're taking off. Everything seems normal.
Off normal. VX, VY, one of the two.
We're taking off. Everything's normal. Typical flying video where you don't have your mic plugged in, so you're just shouting over the engine noise. That's how a lot of aviation YouTubers do it. I haven't checked his other videos. Yes, I have. He normally has. I don't know why not on this one. A lot of people are speculating that there's something wrong with this fuel valve over here. A lot of pilots will just move it over to the right so they can just switch. It's like a fidget. That's what they do.
Yeah,
How
I
happy
fidget with
he
the
is.
nav
He has
all
no
the
idea
time.
that he's in
That's
danger.
what I do, especially the long flights.
So it's flying along. Everything's normal. Oh my God! You can see the door has come open. And so what do you do when the door comes open? You got to turn that engine off, because if you're flying too fast when that door comes open, you get sucked right out. And Trevor knows this. You can see him hanging onto the steering wheel, trying to keep from getting pulled out of the airplane. I'm telling you, he's not going to win this battle.
Oh, no, he's not. No,
He's trying to hold the door closed right there. Can't do it. He's cussing because it's a very real, scary situation, and it's no way staged.
I hope the FAA this explains it all.
You hear he's cussing because the suction, and you can hear the wind. Look, it's pulling him out. He's struggling to. He's holding the door closed.
Oh,
he can't do it. Do you hear those beeps?
Is that cursing or is it just beeping?
Just beeping. The door's coming open. He can't keep it shut.
No.
It's opening. It's keep coming. Don't do it, Trevor. Hold the door shut, Trevor. Don't get sucked out of your plane, Trevor.
Please, Trevor.
He can't do it. Look, it's pulling his seatbelt out. Look, it's got his arms coming out.
It unhooked it too. That's
It got him. No, Trevor.
Oh, okay.
He had a parachute, though. You can see he's still being sucked out of the plane. The suction goes all the way to the ground.
All the way to the ground. Does it really? Oh, look at that. He's got a camera.
Yeah,
with one of those.
Now you can see the
GoPros.
engine is starting back up and the plane's flying away. A lot of times the planes will do that. Once the pilot's gone, they just go where they want to go. It's kind of weird.
Got him.
All right, now the plane's going to land itself right here. And yeah, that's the.
It's landed.
We want to see that shot again.
It's good landing.
Firm landing.
It's a little firm.
So he's going to have to now hike back to the plane so he can fly it out of there, so he can tell the story of what happened to him. But
this guy needs to spot
but
the
so that
APG
actually happened. He was pulled out of his plane, and so there are some planes that are susceptible to door. If you've ever flown in a Bonanza, the doors come open on those all the time. Cessnas, the doors don't even fully close. So if you're not careful and you don't have your seatbelts, secured, you get sucked right out of the airplane. It happens all the time, so you guys need to be careful. I know there are a lot of people that were saying that this was a staged stunt and that he did this for views. And while I don't believe it is, I think that's not a bad idea. So I'm going to do some of that on my channel to see if I can get my numbers up. So
I'll send you the link to Trevor Jacobs' School of Solo Skydiving too, because it's equally humorous and entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put that in the
Another
show notes as
YouTube
well.
video. Yes.
Yeah, they're having fun with the whole thing. Yeah,
Love that guy. He's awesome.
So that guy runs a whole YouTube channel based on satire.
Yes.
And you go watch his videos. They're great. It's like a perfect blend of like cheesy production value, but like funny items. And getting back to like the good and bad sides of the FAA, he's been reported for like some of the dumb satirical stuff he's done.
Oh, really?
Oh, this guy has
trouble with
played-
the FAA too.
Yeah, I think he made a video about it. I have to go back and look, but he made a comment on someone else's video asking about a CFI, and he said, "I could do it for you, but I'm not a real CFI, so you have to pay me under the table or something.
And they didn't like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh, I wonder why they didn't like that. That's
yeah, it's great.
I
they
really
not
enjoyed
understand
that was a lot of fun.
dry
You
wit?
can certainly tell. But you know what though? I mean, if someone kind of doesn't they don't have a little bit of the background information of the whole thing, somebody might take this as serious.
Oh, that's true.
So
That's true.
But that
and
was,
someone has
sometimes-
no sarcasm radar, like meter.
Right.
Yeah,
that
no,
they go
no
on.
meter at all.
Humor is can be a risky thing, but anyway.
Yeah. That was fun.
I
That was a
enjoyed
lot
it.
of
Yeah,
fun.
we enjoyed it very much.
A lot of people don't realize that I'm really, really funny. If you don't think I am, it's because you don't really have any sense.
You don't
of
understand
humor,
comedy.
basically.
Yeah.
You don't
Exactly.
understand comedy.
Wait.
Yeah.
Those were jokes?
Shut up.
I'm sorry.
All right, let's move to 5 before we have to do some serious, shuffling around.
Serious.
Real quick, Neil mentions the RAF Luton Twitter account. That's another great one for anybody who's into like aviation satire.
Yeah.
RAF Luton or
Because
Luton.
there is no RAF Luton, obviously.
And they post.
Oh,
That's
I
one
think
of
we have. We've had that, or
you may have
something
mentioned
from
that.
channel.
Stansted Airport or something, or another UK satire. Yeah, pretty funny too.
Yeah. All right. Let's move to number 5 from Nikki. He sent us in some. Well, here, let me read this. Hi, APG crew. Congratulations for the 500th episode. Well, thank you. I have been a listener from almost the beginning, but I've remained more of a passive enjoyer of the show, having sent feedback only twice in the past. Well, come on. You got to do better than that. Wanted to share with you a few aviation-related headline stories from Finland, which may be of interest to some listeners. I certainly would like to hear what the crew has to say. And let's do story number 1 here with a short summary. Helsinki Airport had to close for the first time since 2003. On Friday, the 10th of December, the weather in Finland was challenging due to icing and wind. Based on the forecast, Finnair had preemptively canceled some flights the day before, but on Friday, the weather deteriorated towards the evening, and eventually the airport had to close completely for a few hours, causing planes to divert to Turku, Tampere, Tallinn, and Stockholm. After the airport had reopened in the early hours of Saturday, Finnair's A350-900 heading to Dubai slid sideways when entering the runway 15. According to various sources, the aircraft was entering the runway after de-icing but could not turn in time and then ended up sideways on it. Based on media reports, the aircraft remained on the runway, but there was not sufficient space to maneuver, and the aircraft had to be towed. They went back to the gate and eventually departed at 4:26 a.m. And Liz is putting on the video here. It looks like one of those cameras in the tail facing forward of the A350 on the runway. And yeah, it doesn't look like it's perfectly lined up for takeoff.
It's a little askew.
No, it's one hell of a crosswind. Man.
Yeah. That 90-knot crosswind thing.
Yeah, and zero visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Liz says maybe the keto controller lined him up for takeoff or taxing or something.
Touche.
This is supposed to be runway 15. Takeoff runway, 27.
Runway 42.
42.
Yeah. Okay, while the A350 was entering the runway, another Finnair flight, 1692 from Tenerife, was on approach but had to enter holding when the runway was blocked. The Tenerife flight, an A321, had earlier diverted to Tallinn, where it waited for the Helsinki airport to be reopened. The flight departed Tallinn at 2:52 a.m., but the quick 20-minute hop across the Baltic Sea ended up taking more than an hour as it remained in holding while waiting for the runway to be reopened. So, oops, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, though. I mean, Tallinn's not a bad place to be held in a delay. Tallinn's a really cool little town in Estonia.
Oh yeah. So you think that maybe they got off and were able to get off the airport and hit the local pub and
at 2:30 in the morning?
They're open. Trust you me, they're open.
They're open. Oh wow.
Yeah, okay.
So,
okay.
fun place.
So
enough.
he had some comments and his own thoughts. He says, positives, the media interviewed the airport and airline representatives, not just passengers. That is a positive. Negative, it's worrying that the A350 had the incident to begin with. Finland is a bit like Canada when it comes to winter weather. It seems that these sorts of weather-related incidents have become more common in recent times. Is it just bad luck, or is there something more to it? Some weeks back, APG covered another Finnair 350 story, also winter weather on ground incident, and I seem to recall that the APG crew noted that the airport maintenance had fewer staff working due to COVID's impact on operations. Yeah, is that the one where you took out the taxiway sign? I think so.
I don't remember if that was that occurrence or a different.
But I remember that being the crux of the whole situation, the whole staffing thing, and due to COVID. And I tell you, I mean, and I know you've done it too, Jeff. Taxiing around in slippery, icy conditions on an airplane that weighs, 400, 500, 800, 1,000 pounds is very, very, very tricky. Oftentimes, you go to, and it's happened to me in St. Louis last year, although I didn't make the news, because nothing really happened, but, you just feel the airplane kind of sliding around, and you're just, it gets to a point where you're no longer steering with the tiller, but with differential braking and, dissimilar power, a little bit from the left, a little bit from the right, and add to that the fact that you can't see a lot. It gets to be very, 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 very dicey. So it's not a. We're not saying that the pilots really did anything wrong here. It's just that the conditions outside are such that this sometimes happens, and it's just it's just the name of the game. But
yeah, I don't know that it's becoming more. Is that becoming more frequent or common? I don't think so. I think these things have always been occurrences.
Maybe we're just more people out there with cell phones.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's easy to throw something up on Twitter real quick and attract media attention.
And exactly, and if it does happen to you, all you can really do is just set the brakes and just start the APU if you didn't leave the APU on after engine start, and shut down and just get towed out and just go from there. And hopefully you didn't hit anything. File some paperwork and just go right back at it. So really, no big deal.
Very good. His second story that Nikki sent in, Finland orders 64 Lockheed F-35 fighter jets for $9.4 billion. And I didn't put this one in the note here, but we're going to put the link in the show notes from Reuters.com. He said this one is well covered by international media, so I'll not go into detail. I just thought this might be a big enough news item to be covered by APG, considering the scale of the order. Yeah, it is a lot of F-35 jets, that's for sure. 64. Wow. So if you want to read about that article, it'll be in the show notes. And he ends his feedback by saying, once again, congratulations for the 500th episode. Hopefully in the future I can make it to one of the live events or meetups. Thank you for the excellent show.
You and me, buddy. You and me.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to getting us all together in the future. Thank you, Nikki. All right. Let's see. Texas and LaShock starting the year with funnies. He says, greetings, Captain Jeff and APG crew. First feedback of the year, and I thought I'd start off with something a little light, namely a video I found a while back of comedian Brandon Vestal doing a routine in a place called the Dry Bar. Now, I know you beer drinkers are probably wondering, what's the point of a dry bar? Where is such a place as a dry bar? In answer, I have two words: Provo, Utah.
I know the
and
place.
Callan, Estonia. No,
Estonia. No, not their bars are open apparently all night long.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Provo, Utah, where in their, it's probably not the case anymore, but the Wendy's across the street from the university pool where we swam our high school state meets also had uncaffeinated versions of like Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Well, that's boring.
Welcome to Provo.
Anyway, It also means that the comedians can't swear every other word, but all that's besides the point. Actually, I don't mind that part of it.
No,
The
if the
swearing.
content's
I
funny,
think
it
some
doesn't need the-
comedians, some comedians think that if they're not swearing, like every other word, it's not funny. But I don't think that's the case myself. Anyway, in this video, Mr. Vestal talks about a number of topics, but near the beginning he talks about aviation and describes various experiences he's had while flying. It goes on for a while, 6 or 7 minutes, so you probably can't get all of it, but I do hope you can get at least part of it on the air. I've time marked several sections. My personal favorite is being towed into the gate, partially because this happened to me recently on one of my flights. The plane shut down and the captain announced we had to be towed to the gate. In this case, it was due to the gate being in something of a corner, so I guess they didn't want Sunday driver pilots darting in there. Anyway, here's to a good year. Clear skies to you all. This is the Texas Amla Shock signing off. And now, I see we already have that up there, Liz. I'm going to start the... I've just clipped just a couple little excerpts from this. He's very funny.
It's good to be here to see you guys. I had a flight from Tampa to Los Angeles where I live a couple of days ago, and I was checking into that flight. You know, they make you put your bag on there and you weigh it. And that lady from the airline looked at me, she goes, "Sir, your bag is over 50 pounds. And for safety reasons, we can't put bags in excess of 50 pounds onto the flight." So I start to grab the bag. She goes, "But if you give us $100 more, we'll go ahead and throw it on the plane for you." I was like, "Well, that's great, but how does that fix the safety issue that you were just so concerned about? Let me get this straight. If I give you $100 more, you're going to turn on the extra safety features of this aeroplane." I'm like, "I didn't know that's how it worked. They shouldn't have given me that kind of information. We were about to take off. Like, starting to put your seat up, we're about to take off." I just threw 100 at her. I was like, "Nope." The flight from Tampa to LA was called Flight 10. That was the name of it, Flight 10. I didn't feel very comfortable flying across the country on Flight 10. Every flight I've ever been on has been a strong 4-digit number. Flight 1455, they check both engines before that flight takes off. Flight 10, that sounds like a test. That sounds like there's just some guys in the room trying some stuff, and it's not been going well. It's like they're in a room like, "Guys, Flight 9, that was a disaster." You really need the wheels. You need the wheels. You do. You do. You don't need them for the flying part, but you definitely need them for the landing part. So I was kind of right. I had something happen to me. It's never happened before. I had a flight from LA to Charlotte and had a layover in Baltimore. And the plane landed. It got 20 yards from the gate, and the plane stopped. And the pilot came on. He's like, "Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be here a while. We can't just pull this plane up to the gate. We got to get a tow. This model plane has to be towed in."
Oh, yeah. Chad.
Have you ever heard?
Yeah, Chad for sure.
That was driving me. I was like, "What do you mean?" And he kept coming. We waited like 40 minutes for this tow to show up, and he kept talking like that was no. He's like, "Sorry, this model plane needs a tow." I was like, "You mean the model plane that just took off from Los Angeles, California? Used 2 massive engines to get up to 30,000 feet, and then soared from sea to shining sea like a proud bald American eagle? Used its fancy gizmos and gadgets on board to locate one strip of concrete in Baltimore, Maryland, landed safely on that concrete, got 20 yards from the gate, and all of a sudden that same plane is like, no.
It happened.
Yep. I am exhausted right now. America is big, man. And then the tow showed up. It was the size of a golf cart. It wasn't a small, it was a big plane, towed it like 20 feet, and then it had golf clubs on the back of it.
All right. So you should look at the video. There's a lot more to it. That was just a couple small, short excerpts. But now, talking about the towing into the gate, I heard Steph and Rick kind of commenting in the background about there's a certain area or a certain gate or gates in the Baltimore area. But the gates that we fly into Baltimore, we don't have that kind of situation. But Los Angeles, at least in our older, where we used to be in Los Angeles at our old terminal gates, there were several gates that required you to stop the airplane, have them hook up the tug, and then drag you in the rest of the way. And it was because of the congestion in the area, and they don't want you to go in there. Even if you have both engines or all engines running, because it might be, if it's perfectly planned and you don't have to stop, you could do it with a momentum and keep the power at idle or close to idle, and it wouldn't be a big deal. But sometimes, as we all know, you have to stop short of the gate, and then to get the airplane rolling again, you got to add, a considerable amount of power. And if things are kind of tight, you could end up blowing over baggage carts and causing all kinds of damage and possibly injury. So there are certain flights that require that. Now, why it took almost 40 minutes, I don't know. That might be some
that
comedic
sounds like a
embellishment,
staffing issue, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, or it could be just to make it more funny.
Make it more funny.
But
yeah. Well, just like Texas Analyst Shock said, in Charlotte, it's because of the tight corners. There's a couple of gates on the econ course for the regional flights where, it would be tricky to taxi into those places. And like you look at the line that's painted on the ground for the tug to pull it around, and it makes this like question mark, So you have to basically follow that to get it lined up perfectly. And that's why they tow you in there. Funny story though about needing to be towed to the gate. Not too long ago, maybe last summer, on a flight that arrived into Atlanta. And I won't name the airline that this occurred with, but it wasn't Acme.
Okay.
And not Acme.
Good.
Uneventful flight, short from Charlotte, like 40 something minutes, easy. Taxi off the runway and park at the gate, or so we thought. And I'm sitting on the left side of the aircraft, kind of towards the front, and I'm going, oh, are we gonna? I don't like that. We don't usually use stairs here, but I'm like looking at how far we are from the jet bridge, and I'm like, well, maybe it was like moved out of the way for something else. I'm like, I don't know, just like proportionally doesn't seem right. We seem too far away here. But like engine shut down very clearly. We're sitting there, and then 2 seconds later, PA, stay in your seats, please. We're gonna need to be towed a little bit farther up. They stopped us short of the line we needed to stop at. So
whoops, that happens.
Whoopsie.
Oh, and they already shut down the engines?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
that happens. That's happened to me actually. And all you do is you just hook up and
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't any big deal. It was just like, okay. That's kind of embarrassing, but came up a bit
But I mean,
short there.
just a second what Steffi and Jeff are saying there. I remember especially when you're taxiing the 747 around, especially the Dash 8, which is the longest commercial airplane out there. I think the Antonov 225 might be slightly longer, but anyway, just know that the Dash 8 is a very, very, very long airplane where you have 225 feet wingspan, and then these engines, these GENX engines, suck in and blow a whole lot of air. And it's very, very tricky taxiing this airplane around, especially when you're sitting up. Like, I mean, you might as well be taxiing this thing up from the fourth story of a building somewhere. So it's really hard to keep center line and make those tight turns. So oftentimes that's exactly what you need to do. You just and a lot of airlines, especially I know my airline does because I refer to these all the time. They have what are called station guides, and you will, before flying into a particular airport that you don't fly into and out of all the time, you'll review this information, and oftentimes it'll tell you, based on where we usually park, you are expected, or you can expect to taxi up to a certain hold short point or a hold bar, and just shut engines down there. Make sure you have the APU going so you can maintain electrical and air. and then just basically have a wait for a tow truck to just pull you in because of that, because of the space constraints and all that. So it happens more often than people realize. And
That all
it's really
sounds
absolutely
that all sounds reasonable. I think the case I was describing it was unintentional, but no big deal.
Yeah,
Easily remedied.
I
guess better than the alternative of going too far.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say right now. The worst. I mean, I hate this. Is one of my pet peeves, man. Like you're coming in. You've got the center line right where it needs to be. You have just the right amount of momentum of the aircraft going in, and the guy's pulling you in. Everything's going great, and all of a sudden, he goes from just keep coming in to cross.
Yeah,
and you have to slam on the brake.
Yeah,
damn.
And well,
I hate that.
In your airplane, you don't have all the passengers to think about, right? But in ours, I'm thinking, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a nice, slow, smooth stop, and it's your fault for not not making it a proportionate motion to stop in a nice, smooth way. So
I remember,
unless I know that they're about to hit something or whatever.
Yeah, I remember. So when I first upgraded all those years ago, I was flying passengers, and my Czech airman on one of the flights that I was, I think it wasn't actually Czech flight, but one of them anyway. He was saying that to always think about as you're coming in, ask yourself a question in your head, as to kind of gauge the amount of brakes required to stop the aircraft without the passengers even knowing. So basically what's going on here is like, all right, is the captain a dumbass? And if you step on the brakes too hard and everybody in the back is going to go, yes, because he just stomped on the brakes too hard, and then everybody just basically nodded. Oh yeah, he is. So what you want to do, exactly. So what you want to do is just the transition from those 2 or 3 or 4 knots ground speed to get you to the point where you basically stop without anybody even noticing. It's a work of art, but it's a team effort, because it's not only the pilot that's doing it, but you're also relying heavily on the marshaller. Yep. And if the marshaller, stops you suddenly, then you just have to stop on the brakes, and
And if you stop without the passengers even noticing, then maybe they won't all jump up before it's time after the.
They probably will still.
No, they're already standing.
Yeah. That's why I'm concerned about a quick stop, because I know that there are several that are already standing. I don't want any injuries. My best story about being towed to a gate happened when I was a first officer, or may have actually, I was a first officer. I only flew first officer on the L-1011. We're going into Dallas-Fort Worth. We had in our econ course, I think we're still in the econ course there, although it's been a while since I've been into DFW, but we had the entire econ course, and the south end of it, we used to come in via taxiway India, at least that's what they called it back then, and there are certain gates that you would hang a left, and most of the gates you would kind of hang a right, and everything is very, very tight in that, and there's all kinds of ground activity. I mean, it would make the Air Force safety officers just probably blow a fuse if they saw all the stuff that was going on there. And so we're coming in, and the captain takes the airplane, and he hangs a left, like to one of the gates on the southernmost end of that curve. And by the time that any of us were realizing that
the Lockheed TriStar
was going the wrong way, and before we could even say anything or even make some kind of a noise, it was already we were committed. We were like, I know our gate's over there, huh? Yeah, we're in this gate, and
taxi to stand 1214.
Yeah, that was it. There was no getting out of it. You couldn't stop and then try to crank it around and turn. It was like, you're committed now to this area, so we had to stop. We had to wait for a tug, and it wasn't a pre-planned kind of deal. It was like do you have an extra tug out here somewhere? It's got to be one of the big ones for the L-1011 to hook up and then back us up and then drag us around. That was very embarrassing. I felt very sorry for that captain, because I know that since I've been a captain, there have been a few times when I'm like just booking. That's one of those things as skills as a first officer. You kind of have to go, yeah, no, he
No,
doesn't
he's-
know that our gate is like right there.
Yeah.
And you go, all right, there's a gate. Oh yeah. And then sometimes it happens so late that you just go, okay, there it goes. All right. Would you ask him if we could do a 180 and then turn back, go back to our gate? Anyway.
So this is something that happens, every once in a while. I remember a couple of weeks ago, well, more than a couple of weeks ago, we're flying into Honolulu, and we always park on the south side of the field there, south side cargo by the United hangar there, and how do you know where to park? Usually what you do is you contact dispatch via ACARS and request your dispatcher to find out what your parking spot is, right? And so that's he or she will figure that out, contact ground personnel and whatever your destination airport is, find out what your gate is, and then or parking spot is, and then send you an ACARS message to let you know what that is. So the conversation with my FO and I was so good that we forgot to do that. And so
Okay, hang on.
Yep.
That little button on my mouse that's supposed to work a certain way is reverting to its go back, and that's why I exited the studio.
I thought you didn't like
Welcome back.
Thanks. I missed you guys.
I know. We missed you.
For a few seconds. But to make it easier for me on the editing, could you start your story, Rick?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So what I was saying is that a lot of times this happens a lot more than you think. So basically, when you take off from your origin airport to your destination, you really don't know where it is that you're going to be parking, unless it's a place that you operate into all the time, and you know that dedicated gate is there for you. But in other type of operations like the one I fly, when you have to when you're flying freight or stuff like that, you may park in a spot one day and you may park in another spot another day, right? So basically what you have to do is on the en route portion of the flight, you will send out an ACARS message to your dispatcher asking him or her what your parking spot is. So the dispatcher is going to contact ground operations at your destination airport. And then they're going to relay that information to your dispatcher, and then your dispatcher is going to send that information to you, and then obviously you will make a note of that and then include that in your approach and landing briefing. A couple of weeks ago, going into Honolulu, flying with a good FO, good friend of mine, we overlooked that little piece of the procedure there. And so we figured, okay, well, we forgot to contact the dispatcher. We don't know where we're going to be parking, but it's going to be very, very likely the south side of the airport. So we planned on an ILS full right approach, which is what we always do. And then after we landed, we taxied off to the right side of the runway there, started taxiing down, looking for our marshalers. And to our surprise, we couldn't find any marshalers. We're like, did they know we were coming in? And by this point, the tower had told us to taxi the ramp with them, which is very, very common when you go in there, because you're basically just taxiing off the runway and straight into your parking spot. We start taxiing down looking for our marshalers. We didn't find any. And then the tower comes back to us and says, Acme Giant 123, please contact ground on whatever the frequency is. We did. And then the ground frequency goes, so by the way, guys, you're not parking on this side of the airport. You're parking on the north side of the airport. We're like, oh, man. So now
would have been helpful to know 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, it would have been nice to know, about 10, 15, 20 minutes ago. Would have flown a different approach, but hey, what the hell? Yeah. But they gave us directions to, and my whole thing here was especially at night and we're tired and just time to go to basically the hotel. I don't like crossing any active runways. That's just me, because I just like to taxi off the runway and just go straight to my parking. Well, if you look at a a diagram of the Honolulu airport. To go from the south side of the airport to where we were actually parking, not only did we have to cross an active runway, we had to cross
2.
3.
Oh, 3.
So there goes my
Yay.
plan.
Yep.
There goes my
Fail.
plan. So we taxi across the airport all the way up to the northeast side of the airport, having to give way to several heavy aircraft taxiing out, heavy aircraft taxiing, and a very nice Airbus A321neo that gave way to us until we could park in our spot. And I had to buy the beers that night. So so that was me. It happens, but
Yeah.
you learn from it.
Absolutely.
Only cost a couple of beers. No problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At least you didn't have to do the copy down this number. Give us a
Yeah, that, and I didn't show up on Av Herald, so all's
yeah.
good.
It's always a good thing.
Yeah.
To stay out of.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
Oh, I was going to. I was going to say something. I totally forgot. Because you had been saying, Jeff, about how you don't know when you leave your destination which gate you're going to. Did you make a comment along those lines?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, Rick did. Sorry. For passenger operations, a lot of times you can look at the app and it'll actually tell you, at least give you an idea. Like the
I mean,
commercial side of it.
You'll have a general idea.
You have an
what
idea where you're
going to.
Yeah.
So, but
it's funny though. It rarely changes. Like it's scary accurate that they know these things, and sometimes like a day in advance.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although I have a couple of different ways to kind of
Oh, I'm sure you
have an idea of what gate they're expecting us to go to, and believe it or not, it changes quite often, and for me at least in my experience. And then like if you happen to be like running way early, they'll realize, okay, this is not going to work because the airplane that's in your gate is not scheduled to push back until this time. So
Sure. Yeah,
I
get that
not
happens.
unusual for us to get. And I just pop on the PA as we're taxiing in and say, hey, we're so early because we're so good. They gave us a different gate, and so this is our new gate.
And you know what? Now you mentioned that is a very, very good point, and another little bit of insight into flying freight. And really airline flying all around. So at least for us, we can leave up to 15 minutes early without requesting an early release from operations from dispatch. Because when you leave early, there are many things that come into play. One of them obviously being there being a parking spot for you on the other end. And then, another thing being rest requirements for the crew, because if you leave early, then it's just a myriad of things that you have to take into account. And so, oftentimes, if you want to leave early, and you actually do in fact leave early, you may end up arriving late because you may land at your destination ahead of schedule, but you may not be able to block in until afterwards because you weren't supposed to be there that early. So it can be kind of productive sometimes.
That's one of those things that I've noticed over the years that passengers can kind of accept and not accept. And one of those is when you get there like a half an hour before you were scheduled to, and you're thinking, this is great. We're going to give these people plenty of time to get from point A to point B, to their next connection flight. Because honestly, most of the time I'm flying through Atlanta, most people have connections. But if you get there too early and there is no gate available for you, and you have to sit there for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes waiting for the gate to vacate, that, I guess, it's just human nature. You're on the ground going, okay, come on, let's go. Look at all these gates. I'm looking out the window. I see all these gates that are open. And what they don't realize is that all the associated, cogs working together have to be changed if you take one of those gates.
Yeah.
All the
logistics don't work out right. Yeah.
Yeah, all the logistics is just a mess. And I found that it's sometimes better to just enter a holding pattern for a while, and it seems like nobody really is too concerned about that.
You know why? Because for those who are savvy enough to realize, hey, we're approaching our destination, I got to finish up my beverage here. Should I get up now and use the bathroom, the lav, or should I wait until we're on the ground? Now we're going to be on the ground in 20 minutes. I'll wait. And then you're on the ground and you're sitting there. And then they can't get up to use the lav. And then they're angry.
Physiological
Yes,
issues,
yes.
like I just had to deal with.
Yes.
While
No.
Rick was telling his great story.
Nature. What you missed.
I think. It was
But
just
you
too
will
much
hear it.
coffee.
It was okay. No, I'm just kidding. It was great.
Now the problem
I
is
drank too much coffee.
So you get to your gate. You finally have a gate assigned to you, but then guess what happens? You have to get towed in.
That
The
makes
worst.
That's just like
Insult to injury right there. Yeah.
But so.
Yeah. So, and this is something that really at Acme, it really hasn't been an emphasis before, like 4 or 5 years ago. We just go and just press on. We get out early, and then we just figure out what we're going to do when we get to the airport. But now it's one of those things where you really think about, okay, should we actually leave this early? Because is that going to affect us when we get to the next place? And
So I think it comes down to like, how do you keep your customers happy, right? There's a lot of that in the news these days.
Yeah.
I will say I've noticed Acme in particular. If you look on the board in the gate area for the flight, and it'll say on time or delayed if that's the case. Sometimes it says early now, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's
they'll-
just trying to help people. Like, oh yeah, we're going to be early. Good, yeah. I'm happy
Yeah,
for this flight now.
And there's another thing. There's another thing to that. I mean, it's not only being early on your departure time and your arrival time. So you might leave on time, but you also have to keep in mind that these gates are occupied for a certain number of minutes or hours, whatever it is, and that is factored into what's called the cost index. So So basically, the cost index is a number that is printed on your flight plan, and the cost index, basically, what it very basic terms, what it deals with is the cost of the operation, fuel versus time, and that number is a number that you put into your flight management system, and that is how your flight management system figures out what your econ speed is, or your most economic speed is. Oftentimes, because of all these variables, it actually is cheaper to operate at a lower cost index, meaning a lower speed. Yes, you're going to burn a little bit of extra fuel because you're going to have, slightly higher fuel burn because of your slightly higher pitch attitude to maintain the altitude, and a slightly higher parasitic drag. Not parasitic. That'd be the other one. But basically, yes, induced drag, right? It's slightly higher induced drag because you're basically flying at a slightly higher pitch attitude. But anyway, it means that you're going to basically be landing at the exact time, at the precise time that you were expected, instead of having to, instead of landing early and waiting on the ground and waiting for a gate to open and then not being able to park when you thought you were going to park, and people missing connections and all that stuff. So slower sometimes is better. Faster isn't always better.
Well, that's what the girls say.
Well,
so just a quick thing. One of the things that we do when we're usually into the somewhere in the latter part of our climb, or maybe even before that, but once we're above 10,000 feet, we're accelerating and we're getting out of that airport environment, we will look at our takeoff time and our projected flying time, and we see what we're expected as far as our arrival time, and if it's a 10-minute window that the company has proposed that this is where we want you to be on the ground in this window. And then if it looks like you're going to be 5 or 10 minutes before that, then as Rick said, we can proactively go into the flight management system and adjust our cost index to slow down a little bit. Now you could do that to a certain point, but the air traffic control system is basing your flight's progress on what you proposed that you were going to do when you filed the flight plan. So sometimes you have to make sure that they understand that instead of cruising at 7-8 Mach, we're going to be at 7.4, and you say, hey, is it okay if we slow down a little bit? And there are some actual parameters that we have to
Plus 10 minus 10
and
knots, 0.01 minus 0.1 Mach. So anything outside of that,
then you
need
have to
let
notify.
No, and not only because of slot requirements or anything like that, but remember you're flying through an organized system where separation needs to be maintained between traffic at altitudes, because you not only have the vertical separation required by RVSM, you also have lateral separation along airways, and so and as Jeff was saying here. Oftentimes, if you are trying to keep a schedule, it might behoove you to perhaps stay on your planned route and refrain from accepting any direct twos.
Yeah,
that might shave time off your arrival. And the cool thing about this whole thing is that you can reference and actually access this information in real time. You just have to look, down and to the right if you're the captain, down to the left you're the FO, to a little line on the control display unit that says ETA. And so based on what's going on and the flight at that time and the current conditions at that altitude, that is going to be your ETA. And you can kind of, go off of that. And the cool thing also is that nowadays having real-time direct communication with dispatch by ACARs, you can let them know real time what's going on and what to expect.
Right.
And so makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, it seems like more times than not, in my experience, that when we make an adjustment to the cost index, it's to increase it and make us fly a little bit faster, because whatever the traffic at the airport may have been, more than it was planned for. Might have something to do with de-icing, etc. So you're trying to make up some time and get passengers to the destination as close as possible to the scheduled arrival time. But I have to say, one of my
Jeff's pet peeves
is I don't get to play that very often.
I like that though.
Yeah, that's a good one.
A lot of our arrivals, RNAV arrivals, have like downwinds that they put you on, and there is
Frankfurt is notorious for that.
Or Atlanta is a perfect example. If you're coming in from, let's say, the northwest or the southwest, and they're landing to the west, that means you're going to have to be put on a downwind. And there's really no way to let the FMS know exactly at what point you're going to turn base from that downwind. And so it kind of just projects a line out into space, like 25 miles or something. And my pet peeve is not that, but the pet peeve is my first officers just looking into the progress page of the flight management system and just putting down, that's our time that we're expecting to be touching down. And that time, I don't think they realize, is being used in all of our computer systems and our monitors for when the flight is expected to touch down and arrive at the gate and everything. And a lot of times that could be like 5-10 minutes off. And so I try to say, okay, look, let's look at some other points on this arrival, and then from that point, let's see when we're expected to arrive, and then add, depending on the situation. Is it visual approaches? It's going to be a relatively short final. Is it a regular ILS approach? Then we'll add this. Is it a PRM, a precision runway monitor kind of approach, which is 20 to 25 miles out for final, a very long final. And then you can add, adjust the estimated time of arrival based on that. And, I'll tell you a little secret. The most accurate thing that I've found, and it's because for so many years, flying airplanes that didn't have ACARs or flight management systems, the flight plan, that paper flight plan that I'm handed, if you add the time that's on that flight plan to the time that you lift off, and then if you're going straight into the airport, then that should be almost to the minute when you actually touch down. If you're going to go around and land the opposite direction, then add 5 minutes. If it's one of those airports where you have the PRM approaches going on, then add 10 minutes to it. And within a minute or two, it's going to be very accurate, and people are blown away by that. And they go, yeah, well, this system has been around for decades, and these flight planning systems are extremely accurate, and they know all the winds and everything else up there. So, it's I've been able to educate a lot of the newer pilots that we have as far as trying to get a very accurate time for when we're going to land, so that they're not surprised when we show up on the ramp and we're approaching the gate and we're like 10 or 15 minutes earlier than what they told them we were going to be.
Well, I'm only 22, so I've only flown.
You haven't. I thought at this point you were going to be below legal drinking age. We'd have to take your beer away from you.
Well, I mean, we're getting there. Once I get red of this beer, I'll probably be 19.
What was that movie? Benjamin's Button? Or
Benjamin Button.
Benjamin, the Curious Case of
Benjamin Button. Yeah.
That's show title, possibly. I don't know. Tequila Tower.
I don't know if we can pass to Tequila Towers.
Tequila Tower. I think it's gonna be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, that was a good one. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
Wow. I just hit that button again, but luckily it didn't do.
It didn't remove you from your own
bad
show.
Thing. Yeah, it didn't take me out of the show. Yes, Liz. Yes, I did see that note with the suggested order, but I'm going to refer to it right now. 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. Okay. Well, I can't believe it. We're not going to be able to knock out all of this feedback.
I figured she'd be over there saying, hey, pick up the pace.
I know.
No.
Well, that's basically
She
what
knows.
she's saying.
Well, yeah. She knows as well, though.
Yeah, I'm listening to her say blah, 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 blah. Just kidding. She has not done that. Well, maybe she was, just when she was muted. Anyway, let's move to 9 from our main man, Micah, our sound engineer and Portland, Maine airport expert. And he sent us some feedback regarding that airport, Portland Jetport's primary runway to close for nearly 2 months this spring. And this is from the Portland Press Herald. Oh, wait a minute. This is to Liz, not me. Hello, lovely Liz. Here's a news story for the next show. It's one that Jeff could definitely comment on because he's flown in here regularly. The big issue is the north-south runway is much shorter than the east-west runway. Additionally, the prevailing winds come from the east or the west and are often quite strong, as it's right off the ocean, which means landing on the shorter runway will almost always be in a crosswind. Lastly, Acme's is the last flight of the day coming into Portland. It's usually right around midnight, after the airport will be closed completely, based on the article. And so the article talks about the fact that they're going to be doing runway rehab work, done once every 15 years. Involves milling the 7,200-foot long surface, conducting a pavement overlay, and upgrading primary runway lighting to LEDs.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh, well, I can fix that, Miss Liz. So we go to you just hit the share button, and then slides, and then Keynote 507, and then add to stream. There we go. And then I'll let you find that slide if you want. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, the primary runway, the east-west runway, is going to be closed for nearly 2 months. And talking about reworking it and adding LED lighting, which is going to leave the shorter north-south runway in use. And yeah, that just makes it a little sportier for...
Hey, Jeff, how do you like LED runway lighting, honestly?
Well...
I'm curious what you guys think about it as well. Having recently flown to an airport that switched its lighting.
I miss I like the incandescent better.
I do
too. LED, especially when they first put I think, Rick, you'll agree with me. When they first put the LED lighting in, it's just like super bright, like too bright. And then I think they've done something to mitigate
attenuate it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. But I don't know. I just the incandescent just works for my pilot brain a little bit better.
It does for me too. I remember a couple months ago we were going into Ontario, 2-6 left, and it was my FO's first ever no S Autoland that he's ever done. And so we're coming in, and we never broke out ever. All we felt was a thump at touchdown, which we could still do at that time. Thank you, 5G. And all we saw really was at the very, very end there. This was right before the sun came up. The cloud layer, what looked like the cloud layer, obviously because we're still in the cloud, it got a lot brighter, but we never saw a runway light. And so exactly, so Steve Ivey says, blind you in the fog. So that's exactly what happened. And so I'm not. I mean, yeah, it's brighter, it's crisper, it's whatever. But I feel like whenever I request Tower to like actually tone the lights down a little bit, it's never enough. I like incandescent a lot better. I really do. So
I agree.
That's what I have.
What do you think, Steph?
No, I agree with you guys. It's too bright, and not even in fog, low vis conditions. Just if you've been flying along night cross country stuff, and you've just had red lights and nice. Everything's the ambient lighting is perfect for night conditions, and then like right as you cross the threshold, all of a sudden it's like daylight in your face, and I find it very distracting.
Yeah.
Very, and especially in fog, when you really need to see some fine details in the runway surface. These lights sometimes are so. I just was reminded Grand Rapids. I think they were LED lights. I'm not sure, but regardless, it was after the tower had closed. We're coming in late at night, landing on the north-south runway, and we did the clicks, the 5 clicks, 7 clicks. How many clicks do we do? I don't remember exactly.
7
for high,
7, 5, and then
7 for high.
Yeah, so we
5.
did.
Yeah.
We did that, and we're going like, whoa, okay, there it is. It's like you could see it from 30 miles out, 40 miles out. As we got closer, I go, okay, that's going to be a little bit too bright. There was a lot of snow on the ground and everything else, so clicked at 5 or clicked at 3, and it was either full brightness or 0. Nothing.
Yeah, that's all well and good though. Like if you're trying to turn it down, but the airport that you're going to, their CTAF is like the most common frequency in the area. So everyone in like a 10-mile radius that's flying and trying to turn on lights keeps doing it 7 times. So it doesn't matter what you set it to.
Damn it! Stop it!
Stop
trying to land.
Well, I wonder if that's what happened, but I never saw it anything less than either full bright or off, and I just looked over at the first officer. It was my first time in a Grand Rapids, and I said, "Okay, well, I guess we're just going to have to use the full bright because we can't land with no runway lights unless you're landing in Afghanistan or something."
Yeah, and then you told them, "Dude, you're lucky. I have 742 carrier traps because."
Well, that landing was very similar to a carrier, I can tell you.
Firm, extra firm.
So
that was one of the PAs that I make when I have a firm landing. I said, "This is Captain Crash. You pretty much better damn sure make sure that you are careful when you open up those overhead bins. Because, things are going to be all jumbled about.
For sure.
Yeah, they have definitely shifted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Interestingly, though, so that particular airport had just switched over to LED lighting for the runway lights. But we were talking with, I think it was the airport manager. And interestingly, though, they don't do that for the approach lights, like the Mauser or the Rapid lights, because they can't get the timing right. There's like a slight delay with the LED lights.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
That's and it's funny you mention that, Steph, because that's exactly right. So approach lights and rabbits, those are just old fashioned,
old school,
old school lights. But the runway lights themselves are like
and that's why as soon as you cross the threshold, you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't see all of a sudden.
Exactly.
And I was fine like right until that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You just think, okay, hang on. All right. This is such a good video. The TSA has the special, probably the most important employees they have, who don't really get paid anything except for maybe dog treats. They are, of course, the sniffer dogs of the TSA. And after, I don't know how long their careers are. I don't know if they have to retire at age 65, or maybe that's 65 in dog years. I'm not sure. But they, at some point, get old enough where, you know, they have to move out of the way for the new young'uns to come in and do their sniffing duties. And this is a little bit of it's a video regarding the retirement of one of these very amazing dogs, and it's very touching, I think. Here we go. So the dog is sniffing around at this rollerboard, and there are balloons. A bunch of tennis balls fell from
like confetti.
the sky, like confetti. Yeah, the dog. It was so funny. Let's watch that again. Watch the tail of the dog after having found the target or whatever the thing it was supposed to find in the rollerboard. Here we go. Let's watch it again. It's worth watching again. Look at that. Look at that tail.
It's like, yes, this is definitely a kids here. All the tennis balls. Like, I can't do my job anymore, though. Tennis balls. Gotta go play with the tennis balls.
Squirrel. Anyway, so that's so cute. And keeping along in the theme of dogs, this was sent in from one of our listeners named Liz. I don't know. Have you ever heard of her? Another dog story. She said, let's see, note, where this happened. Nick has a drone, doesn't he? Tell me, Liz, I'm sorry. What does that mean? I don't hear.
Hampshire?
Oh, yeah. You even
she highlighted it for you.
For me. That's I see that. Thank you. Anyway, this is from The Guardian. A stranded dog saved from rising tide after rescuers attached sausage to a drone. Team in Hampshire ties sausage to drone as last resort to rescue Millie, the Jack Russell, from the mudflats. And do we see Millie yet, Liz, on the slides?
Not yet.
We have a little picture of Millie.
Yeah. Here she goes.
There's Millie.
Oh.
As the tide rose, it began to look perilous for Millie, the Jack Russell Whippet Cross, who had defied the efforts of police, firefighters, and Coast Guards to pluck her from treacherous mudflats. So the rescuers had to think imaginatively and came up with the idea of attaching a sausage to a drone and hoping the scent of the treat would tempt Millie to safety. It worked gloriously, and Millie has been reunited with her grateful owner after following the dangling sausage to higher, safer ground. There's a joke there somewhere. Millie disappeared after slipping her lead in Havant, Hampshire, and after frantic public appeals was spotted on the mudflats, in danger of being engulfed by the tide. She resisted efforts to encourage her to a safer spot until a drone pilot suggested attaching food to one of the unmanned aerial vehicles that had been used to track the dog. Chris Taylor said, it was a crazy idea. He was the chair of the Denmead Drone Search and Rescue Team. But they pressed ahead, and after checking Civil Aviation Authority regulations, does it say anything about a sausage? No.
No, but it does say a lot about a dog. So, I don't know.
And the max takeoff weight of their machines, the rescuers calculated they could attach a single sausage to a drone. Taylor said, one of the local residents on the beach where we were flying from supplied us with the sausages. I think they were from Aldi. Oh, that's some great information there. The woman cooked them up for us, and we attached them with a string, I meant to say. To the joy of the rescuers, Millie took the bait. If we hadn't got her away from that area, the tide would have come in and she would have been at risk of drowning, said Taylor. It was something we had never tried before. The sausages were the last resort, as we couldn't reach her by kayak or any other means. Because Millie was hungry, it worked at luring her away from the danger to higher ground, which wouldn't go underwater. We certainly would consider using sausages again. Every dog and search operation is always going to be different, but if we were ever in a similar situation again, we would employ the same methods to lure the dog. Though the sausage work, skittish Millie raced off again, but was finally reunited with her owner, Emma Oakes, after being spotted inland from the marsh. She ran towards Oakes' father, Tony, and jumped into his arms. Anyway, what a happy ending for Millie.
All right, so if this whole sausage thing it's a fantastic idea. I use it all the time. The problem is it only works once. If you want it to work a second time, you have to grill the sausage. If you want it to work a third time, you have to add a little bit of cheese. If you want it to work a fourth time, you have to do a red wine vinaigrette reduction. So it just keeps getting worse and worse.
The palate evolves over time. It really
exactly.
it becomes more refined.
And if you don't do it, if you don't do it, then you start getting angry letters in the mail. Yeah,
we've already established your dog is union. Yeah.
Oh, very, very much. It's local 2350 car carrying. So just be aware and.
So it can be problematic, is what you're saying.
A little bit, yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I love that they said because she was hungry it worked. I'm like, no, my dogs would just follow any like they wouldn't even have to be hungry. They're like, oh, yeah, people food.
Dog's
yes,
always hungry.
Gonna follow this.
Right?
Yeah. Not always, but
man,
sausage is kind of irresistible.
Yeah, most of the time.
Feel free to use that clip.
Keeping with the canines, TSA canines theme, here's a link. This is from Greg Peterson, our big ass fan. Here's a link to this year's TSA Canines calendar with Nick's and Rick's love for big dogs. I thought you guys might want to see this. So,
oh yeah.
Here we go. We're going to take a quick look at the 2022 TSA Canines calendar. And there's Jay Jackman. And, there's a calendar. And Malou. And Marty.
Oh, look at Marty.
Yeah. And, look at Zorro.
Wow.
Good looking. What is that? Is that a Malinois or is that a...
it's a German Shepherd still. I think there's a single Malinois at the end there.
Okay. Hilbert. Hilbert. Betta. Oh, she's cute.
GSP.
Lexi.
No.
Alona.
Look at Alona.
Ari with a big something in his mouth.
Probably Kong toy. Yeah. Oh, there's another Kong toy there. That's Zara.
Zara.
Zyra.
Zara. Okay. How about Lexa Alexi? What kind of dog is that?
Long-haired German Shepherd.
Yep, long-haired German Shepherd.
I didn't recognize it. Okay.
Look at that one. There's the Malinois right there. Badger. Those dogs are the best.
Rocky. Not sure.
Belgian Tavern? Not familiar with that dog breed.
I don't know, me neither.
Tavern? Can't read.
All right. So
if you're still in need of a 2022 calendar, you can get yourself a
from the
TSA Canines calendar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes if you want to check it out in more detail and possibly use that as a personal calendar for this year. Okay, and then we're going to skip to 14 from Richard. And now I have to apologize to Richard. He sent this in, and I saw it in our feedback, and I was thinking, this is just the same thing that we talked about, I don't know, sometime last year, this F-22 crash. And then I was telling him that we had already covered it. He goes, I didn't realize. I thought you didn't, you hadn't seen the latest update on the investigation of what exactly caused this crash. And so I went back and looked at it and went, yeah, you're right, Richard, sorry. put it back in our feedback. So he says, "Hi APG, how simple mistakes can lead to a $200 million loss. Thanks for the great podcasts." And the article from Air Force Times says, "Human error, tech glitches, and tape caused the May 2020 F-22 crash." And we're watching on the video the result of that crash, a pretty sad-looking F-22. This next slide is the front end, the business end of the, well, I don't know if it's the business end, but the front end of an F-22. Let's see. Several mistakes, including maintenance, pilot, and technology errors, plus a wayward piece of tape compounded to cause the secretive May 2020 plane crash in Florida that totaled an F-22 Raptor fighter, according to the results of an Air Force investigation. Redacted results of a commander-directed inquiry into the $202 million incident. Ooh, those things are not cheap. Obtained by Air Force Times via the Freedom of Information Act, sheds the most light so far on how the accident transpired for one of the Air Force's most advanced airframes. Air Force Times reported in October 2021 that the F-22 grew increasingly wobbly upon takeoff, then refused to turn left and barrel rolled into the ground after the pilot safely ejected. The service said last year that a mismanaged wash caused the plane's demise, but didn't offer further details. It was one of 9 major F-22 mishaps in fiscal 2020. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a big number for mishaps in 1 year. The unnamed pilot involved in the May 15th, 2020 incident was a captain serving as the 43rd Fighter Squadron's Assistant Operations Director. The 43rd Fighter Squadron is the only Air Force unit that provides initial and requalification training for active duty Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve F-22 pilots. Problems began 2 days earlier when maintainers towed the advanced fighter jet in for its monthly wash to help prevent corrosion. A crew chief was tasked with managing the wash team of 4 maintainers to ensure they correctly cleaned the jet. The crew chief periodically checked in on their work but didn't stay throughout the process and inspected the plane once the wash was done, although he didn't really inspect it very well. According to the tech order or maintenance manual that tells airmen how to wash a Raptor, a supervisor needs to watch over and participate in that cleaning, but the only team member with training in that role didn't know who the designated supervisor was supposed to be. Neither did the other 3 airmen. Hurricane Michael, the Category 5 hurricane that forced F-22s to relocate from Tyndall to Eglin, was partly to blame. The discipline and standardization of conducting washes in this unit suffered when operations moved from Tyndall to Eglin after Hurricane Michael, according to the report. Airmen saw no problems during routine pre-flight checks run before and after the day of the crash, though it's unclear how thoroughly the jet was inspected. They missed something crucial. Maintainers need to cover up electronics on the outside of the aircraft that would be damaged by water before they start a wash. But airmen left tape on a part of the F-22's air data system, known as a beta port, that no one caught before the jet took flight. Now, I'm going to pause here for a moment. There are probably several opportunities to catch something like this, and this is not something that's just related to military jets, but the jets that Rick and I fly have static ports that you have to make sure are clear of any obstructions like tape, because when they take a jet transport aircraft somewhere to get washed, they are using high pressure water or whatever they're using to wash the thing, and they cover up these ports with tape, and sometimes they forget to remove the tape. And when we're doing our pre-flight walk around, that's one of the critical areas that we make sure is free and clear of any kind of blocking or contaminant. And so that's what happened in this case. The tape was covering a beta port, but that's not the only problem here. While the jet was still on the runway, an alert popped up to tell the pilot that something was amiss with the flight control system. The pilot ignored it and took off and started to climb. A new emergency procedure instituted for the F-22 just 15 days before the crash told pilots to abort takeoff if a flight control system advisory comes up during departure. Anyway, so I'm not going to read the entire thing. We're going to have this in the show notes because we're getting close. Well, we're actually past our 3-hour point at this point. But so we in the flying community have a way of disseminating information, and it can be through emails, it can be through a dedicated publication system on your EFB or whatever. And apparently there were some holes in this system, and it turns out that the incident pilot here hadn't seen this memo that says, if you get this message, do not take off. And there was,
although that's the question I have there is, if they got that message before, that wasn't part of their training. I guess they changed the procedure on it, or they left more autonomy to those decisions.
I guess.
I don't know. That just seems odd. But anyway.
It seems like maybe this is something that it was not uncommon to see, and the pilot thought, well, that's just, I'm not.
Yeah,
you know,
I've seen it before. No problem.
Yeah, I thought that too, and I think that, they call it a flight control system advisory. So maybe it's something with it being an advisory as opposed to a warning.
Like, hey, heads up,
like
just
that.
Pay attention. Something might not be quite right here, but you're probably fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't say.
Yeah, advisory doesn't
if
sound
you take
too
off, you're going to crash.
Scary. Right.
Yeah. Or maybe it's like one of those messages that includes, it could be a whole bunch of different things going on.
Could be anything.
Like little minor things to like a major thing, like what happened here. But anyway, so just the simplest of things sometimes can lead to what did it say? $102 million, 200 and something $million loss.
202, I think it was.
Wow. Yeah. And
a lot
but
of
unfortunately,
money.
no life was lost. He successfully ejected from the jet, but still, that's an expensive mistake. So,
and even with that, a little further down in the report, they talk about how even with the tape being on the probe and the pilot ignoring the message, the airplane still could have possibly resolved the bad data input if he would have kept the airplane in a certain flight envelope on the takeoff.
Happy zone or something?
Yep.
They call it.
Yeah, but the fact that he was, doing like a more high performance takeoff than that envelope would allow meant that the airplane couldn't identify and fix that problem fast enough.
Right. And even I think there are some steps that pilots can take to kind of deactivate certain systems or sensors or whatever if that happens. But as you said, Nick, the airplane wasn't in its happy place, and so it couldn't resolve the issue on its own. And we know what happened there. Pretty cool video showing it like just going out of control. Anyway, if you want to read more of the details of this, yes, go ahead.
I was going to say that's some load factor right there, but hey.
Oh, yeah,
that is some load factor. That load factor, it'll get you.
Yeah, it'll get you.
Hey, let's just quickly do I know we're over time, but I think just to end this whole thing on a happy note, let's do 15. This is from Brent Loper, and he said, I thought I would share this for a laugh. Sorry, Liz, I'm kind of throwing this at you at the last minute, but if you can find that cartoon from our favorite cartoonist,
Gary Larson.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a picture of an airplane that has lost a substantial part of the top of its fuselage near the front of the airplane, over the cockpit, basically. And we see this flight cap being, ejected from the cockpit area, and then the captain says, "Oh, great! Now there goes my hat."
Yeah,
that'll happen.
We've
Delta people do that.
we've actually had that happen on the C-47. I think maybe a couple of times.
Oh, really?
Someone's lost their
Yeah,
hat or
not-
lost part
not
of
the-
the fuselage.
Yeah, not the fuselage departing.
Not
the
part of the
airplane,
airframe. Okay, well, yeah,
but guys turning to look out the window and the hat getting sucked out.
Great.
Yeah.
There goes the hat.
Yep.
Well, I guess the worst thing that could happen, it just gets all chopped up by the propellers, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Not have to worry about getting ingested into a air intake of a jet.
Right.
But, all right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. And one of the things we always like to point you to is our website, airlinepilotguy.com, where there's lots of stuff that you can be more informed about: the crew, the community, the calendar, plane tales, more detailed information about that. If you read books, we have a library maintained by our librarian Tiffany, merchandise, so much more. Just check it out, airlinepilotguy.com. And we're also on the social meds.
Hey, we are on the social medias. So we'll start with Facebook this time. Facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. And if that's a bit too long form for you, you can check us out also on Twitter. We're at APG Crew. And I thought Rick was trying to stop me from speaking by putting his hand up to the...
I was pulling a Nick. I was pulling a Nick.
Okay,
Finally you for a change.
So we're at APG Crew. You can find our individual Twitter information pinned to the top of that page. Also on Instagram, I really just need to be better about posting Nick's wonderful artwork there, but hopefully you're watching the YouTube version of the show, and you'll see it when we do it during the Getting to Know You and other segments like that. But hopefully I'll get back to doing that at some point, and I'll stop slacking. We're APG Crew on Instagram as well. And speaking of slacking, you got Hillel there with you in the...
Best slacker in the world. I don't know.
Well,
Let's
he's
see
there.
if,
He's
he made it
there.
all the way out to Rapid City. Hey, Hillel. Hillel, can you do Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
Well, it's okay. Just come on over here and tell us all about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and plain tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Hey, Hillel, do me a favor. Put some pants on or something.
It's caught in my zipper, Jeff!
And does he have a South Dakota ID now as well, or?
Yeah, he was here just driving all around Rapid City today. Yeah, he's my pal. Anyway, also we want to thank our producer director Liz Piper in Toronto. Thanks, Liz. You're just a blessing.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. And with that, time now to end this thing by saying, wishing you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care and God bless.
Cheers, y'all.
We will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Portland.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Do you think we should stop?
I was just waiting for you to say, and done.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
That is a wrap.
Okay, let me turn off my
recording.
Oh, yes, Steffi, do that this time.
Oh, I didn't start it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That solves the
Don't
problem.
worry about it.
Yeah.
I got dinner reservations in 27 minutes. I gotta
Get out of here.
go.
Bye.
Wait. Before you go, hang on.
Yes, sir.
Let's quickly say thank you to everybody in the chat room. I think we have what we need for a title, correct?
Yeah, we do. Yep.
Tequila Tower. I love it.
Yeah. me
Tequila
too.
Tower,
Yeah,
the
it's
load
Tequila
factor
Tower.
in the Tequila Tower. All right.
A load factor in the Tequila Tower. Okay. Anyway, thank you, live chat room people. You're awesome, and we appreciate you showing up each and every week. And we'll be looking for you next week. So don't shrug it off. All right, that's it. Let's
Bye.
end
Bye.
this by here. I
See
gotta
you,
find the
everybody.
darn page here. Okay, here we go. End broadcast.